snickering again. I can't help it. Good morning. How are you? Welcome to Natasha Makes. It is Wednesday, so it is Workshop Wednesday with lovely Jane Alcock, who's waiting in the wings very patiently. She's looking fabulous today in mustard. That really suits you, actually.
Thanks.
Yeah. Jane is convinced that she will bring me round to the mustard way. Mustard and navy, it's your thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is at the moment. I've got this thing about mustard and navy.
But mustard and grey are the
Yes.
thingy Pantone colours, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we'll see about that. How are you? Are you a mustard and navy kind of a gal or guy? I don't think I've got any mustard and navy actually on the show today. Actually, no, that's not true. I have, because I've got some Liberty half metre heavens. So what we've started to do on a Wednesday for you is to show you the half metre heavens that will go live tonight when I finish cutting them. It's basically the gist of it, isn't it? You know, we have to stagger these things because of number of hands and cutting. So they go live at midnight tonight. I've got, as you can see, quite an array. Some I've only got one of because it was the last one on the bolt. What do we do? Well, let's offer it to you. And I've got all sorts of goodies actually on the show. So it's quite an exciting show, as well as obviously Jane's fantastic quilt two ways, because there's a different colourway, which includes some CAFE. Super excited to see that be made up. Just can't quite envisage it yet, so I'm very excited for that. Bear with me, let's see who's here, shall we? Bear with. Who have we got? Colette, good morning, and Ali, hello. Hi Sarah, it's lovely to see you this morning. Thank you. Elizabeth's here, good morning ladies, good morning back to you, good morning Jacqueline. I loved your star. Just beautiful, and I absolutely loved it with the orange animal print. Just beautiful. Helen, good morning to you, and Joe. Oh, there you go. My lounge is mustard and grey. Love it. You are on trend, lady. Oh, damp in Northants today. Snow's gone. Yeah, it's starting to pretty much go here as well. Morning, Rona. How are you? How is it up there in Scotland? Mustard and bottle green, says Sarah. Ooh. Now, you see, I always think of those as being like proper horsey colours, because you'll get like barbers in that sort of bottle green, and then they might have a, yeah, very smart, very smart. Morning, ladies, says Margaret Smith. Good morning to you. Good morning. And Jenny as well. Good morning. And Lorraine and Linda. She's looking forward to Jane's quilting techniques. Yeah. Can't even say it. Good job. I'm not doing the show, isn't it? Can't even say it, let alone do it. Goodness me. Morning, Julia. How are you? Big smiley face. Julia,
That's
big
nice.
smiley face. We like a big smiley
That's
face.
what we need today. It's a nice big smiley face.
We do. We do indeed. Morning, Becky. Morning, Pauline. Good morning. Barbara's there, and Jill as well. Fabulous. And Lisa, good morning. A dull, damp day in Halifax. Lovely to see the rainbow of colours on the screen. Oh, yeah. Halifax. Now, Halifax. Did you ever watch Last Tango in Halifax?
Yes, I loved
I
it.
loved it. Absolutely loved it. And I have to say, firstly, Halifax is one of those places that I never really knew where it was.
You tend to think of the Building Society, don't you?
Yes. Which was everywhere.
Yeah.
So it was very confusing.
It's confusing.
Very confusing. But then, oh my goodness, the scenery
Oh, I know.
was just beautiful. Oh, I wonder if they're going to bring it back for another series. I really enjoyed it. Morning, Margaret. Morning, Jan. Morning, Susan. Very wet and grey here in Battle. Looking forward to this morning. I love Battle as well. It's another place I really love. Battle, Hastings, Rye. All gorgeous down there. We see if you're down there, you've got Kay from Brandon as your neighbours. They've got a house in
Nice.
Hastings. Yeah,
Lovely.
beautiful. Carol and Juanita, good morning. Alison's a mustard and navy lady. Just made a very nice handbag for her daughter's birthday using grey and mustard. You see, your daughter's going to be on trend now as well. Yeah, I need to sort that out, don't I? There are just so many colours. And there are just so many colours here. Hey, now, a couple of things for you today. Gemma and I had fun last night. I'm not even sure there's space for a close-up right now. Hang on. Bear with. Whoop. I have managed to get these back in stock. I didn't know if I ever would because they have been out of stock for so long. What are they? I ask. No, I hear you ask. Not I ask. I know. I bought them.
You know what they are.
Yeah. It's like the best kept secret, even from me. So these, let me show you, are they are to keep your masks in. They're sort of impregnated with some silver.
Yeah,
Antibacterial.
Yeah.
So you pop your mask in there just to keep it nice and clean and fresh, and then pop it in your car or wherever. But it's that antibacterial property that you want with these. They're not particularly dear or anything like that. But do you remember our any size envelopes that we did?
Yeah, they were lovely.
I just happened to grab this out of the...
Oh, perfect.
What a great gift. What a great gift. Make someone a gorgeous mask, pop it in there, pop it in one of those, and then it's in your handbag or it's in your car.
Yeah. The times you go through the shop, don't you? You put your foot through the doorway and you're like, mask.
Did it
Rush
last
back to
night,
the
trying to
car.
drop Stephen down at the garage to pick his car up. And but it just fits absolutely beautifully. And he'd gone out without one.
Yeah.
But, always one in the car, which is fine because, I generally smart it. So that's fine. So we've got those. And we've also got, because a lot of you are asking for it, Visaline. I never know if I say that name right. Visaline. You know who I mean.
Visaline, isn't it? Visaline.
What Jane said. The interfacing people. They put L's and I's and S's in and V's in weird orders. I mean, what am I supposed to do with that? I'm dyslexic enough as it is. They now do an interfacing for masks. It's a sewing interfacing for masks. So for those of you that want that third layer, we've got it. I don't think it's going to break the bank. It's about £4 for a half metre, and it's like 90 centimetres by 50 centimetres. Yeah, it's really reasonable, isn't it? So that's on the website for you as well. So make your mask, pop it in there, bish, bash, bosh, you're good to go. The other thing that we did was we had a few of these left over. Saucy lady. Now, we've got 4 different designs, so, it will vary. I love tins. I'm a proper... Anybody that's seen my dresser, I've got a collection of elephant tins. But look what we put in them. Whoops. Little quilting clips. So quilt on the go. Quilting clips on the go. I think we managed to pop about 15 in there. But they're just
nice.
Well, it's just a fun little thing, isn't it? That you can just... How often do you use more than 15 in one go unless you're doing a binding? But if you're just clipping a little project, perfect. Look at this little lady. Ooh. There she is.
We both went, oh, hello, sailor.
We did. Sailors were mentioned. There you go. They're sort of collectibles, aren't they?
Yeah. Vintagey.
Do love a good tint. Shall we have a look at... Now, a little while ago, for our birthday show, I managed to bring you Moda at £5 half metre, but we could only do it for a couple of days. We had a smidge left. So I brought it back. So if you want those...
Beautiful colours.
It's my own camera. I still get it the wrong way around.
I know,
What is wrong with me?
I think it's like when you do it in the mirror as well, don't you? It's like
Just no
back to
idea.
front.
I've been doing this for over a
Honestly,
year now, Jane.
no, I
You'd think
know.
I'd know. Anyway, 4.5 metres, 20 quid. Mix them up with purples and pinks and gorgeousness like that.
Well, they're just lovely. They're just a real nice staple fabric for you. And I mean, that grunge spot is just...
I know, isn't that beautiful? And that gives you a full ranges of greens in your life. But we also have a very slightly different bundle. And this one has got a little cheeky red number snuck in on the end there. So they're all of a tone, they're all of a colour palette, they're all Moda, and they're all £5. A half metre is what they work out at. But again, I've literally got like 5 of each, and that's it. They're gone and done then.
It's crazy. Moda at £5 a half metre. It's just like,
what? I know. But I got it at a good price, so I would like you to, to benefit from that. But when it's gone, that's it. That's all I can do. And I can bring you discounts, I do.
Fig tree fabrics, beautiful designs.
Ooh, yes. Absolutely stunning. So to that end, those that I got at that price, I managed to do. Oh, the other thing, we for some reason this duo, you know, the Liberty duo,
Yeah.
got deleted by accident.
Oops.
I know. We still have 3 left. So we've
That's
loaded 3
gorgeous
this
as
morning.
well.
I know. This was the one that we did. It's on the back of the door.
Yeah.
The hanging.
Do you want to pass it?
Yeah, go on. Would you mind, Jay?
It's just a bit lovely.
Just a bit lovely. So we did that. And that was from the 2.5 meters. And you had loads left over. And we've got some more of the hangers in as well because they flew, absolutely flew. And you can get glittery or clear sewable plastic. Thank you. I've demoed that a few times. I've done that here. I've demoed that at Hochanda. So I'm sure that you'll have seen it somewhere. Or that's your stuff. Oh. So these, we only had a handful of these as well, like 3. We've got 3 of these. And again, Moda and a lovely plain. These are your 1/2 metre heavens that go live tonight. Like I said, I've got 3 of that and that's it done. And then we had just the ends of the bolts of the Liberty and apparently some threads. So literally, how many of these have I got? Oh, handful. But we found, I don't know where that had been hiding.
It was just, I looked round and I was like, ooh, that's going to go nicely with that one.
I think actually you had that for a kit and
Yes,
then
I
you
think
brought it
was one
back.
of the first ones, wasn't it? Yeah.
And I was like, oh, forgotten we had that. But doesn't it go beautifully? Because you've got so many different blues in there. So these will go live at midnight. But it's just, you know, sometimes it's really hard to see on a screen, isn't it? So I thought, oh, and yeah, again, with your batiks, doesn't that go nicely with the 2 of these? That's all I've got, is 2. And again, that's your metallic Moda.
Sort of classic Christmas colours.
Do you know, for $9.99, pop it in your basket, get it home, use it whenever. No one's going to turn around and say, oh, holly.
Yeah.
So last season. I'm not doing holly this Christmas. What? Marches de Noël. Again, this is 3 sisters. So this is Moda again. And I love the gentle pinks in there. There's some gorgeous blushes and gentle greens. Beautiful, isn't it? And if you've gone for the green bundle, of course, you've got greens that are going to work a treat. A treat. And that is with crimson. Last of the Christmassy type things. But looky here, viewer. Oh, there you go. Don't need to see my stickers. Again, just that little splash. We may have a few of these cut to order, by the way, so if you want a little bit extra. But this is, we're getting down to the last few. I know I keep saying this, keep finding the odd bolt left. But we're down to just
handful of colours, haven't we now?
Yellow, green and purple. I think that's all we've got left. And like a bit of sort of tanny colour. Now, you see 3 of these left. I just
love that Lewis.
Adore that Lewis and Irene. With that little hint of metallic there, just making it pop. We had to put it with the Misty Blue because Misty Blue is one of my favourite colours. So I had a bathroom in that colour once. It's lovely. Now, you went crazy for this last time we loaded it, and then we found some more lurking in the warehouse. So we went, yeah, well, we'll just do that again for you then. So that's Cadet Blue with Heron Lake. Again, with that beautiful gold.
Just doesn't show up, does it? The lovely metallic highlights on there. Beautiful.
This is always the problem that we have, is trying to show you how these fabrics simply glow. Oh, it's one of those ones. And actually, the number of messages that we have from people that go, oh, it doesn't do it justice.
No.
You can see they're so beautiful. Where can I get more? Well. Now, was this called Full Bloom, I think? But again, it's Liberty, and I have got 3 of these coming up tomorrow. And again,
just love that.
Yeah, I found a couple of, I don't know, they were some of the complimentary bundles that we had left over. So I was like, right,
break them all.
We'll have that. Thank you very much, because that is like it's made for it. But again, when they're gone, they're gone. I'm not getting those back in. Same with this. Oh, I've got 4 of these. Again, this is Liberty. So if you missed that before, if you want a little bit extra, or if you just, even if you just want to make yourself a little, I don't know, wash bag or something that's Liberty.
Yeah. Just a little, or the lining of a bag, or
anything. Anything.
Your round pouches, those
Yes,
They look
beautiful.
beautiful with Liberty.
Um,
That is so cute.
a line of dancing animals. What's not to love?
Oh, it's just so lovely.
And I think this is great for sort of all ages. And look at that. Is that not just the perfect colour? It's with jade. You've even got a zebra in there. So if you know someone's got a little one,
Yeah.
but you don't know what colour, it's not blue, it's not pink,
Yeah.
it's the perfect colour.
That stretch 9 patch pattern would work
Stretch
lovely.
patch would be gorgeous, wouldn't it?
Yeah, just ideal for a little playmat.
For a little
prize.
playmat, $9.99, job's a good one. Perfect. Oh, Jane, you're on fire today. Now,
We love the
right,
Geo.
so you know I love the geodes. With rose.
Oh, yes.
Because I normally think of that as being quite a masculine print.
Mm.
But
Yes.
then you go and pick out the rose colour from here.
It changes it completely.
It changes it, doesn't it change it? I just adore that. But again, I've got 3. That's it. That's all I've got. Oh, now, I couldn't decide the colourway because I had a few of these left.
I love that. That's so vibrant, that green. It's beautiful, fresh.
But Jane, ho, 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 ho.
Look at that.
Look at those greens. It's like they're meant to be together, right?
It just lifts it, doesn't it?
Doesn't it?
It's beautiful.
Doesn't it? Ha ha! But again, because of how much of that I've got 3 of those. All going live tonight. Midnight. So this is your bearded iris from KFC, K Facet Collective. It is a Philip Jacob design. Clever man. And look at this with kapow amethyst. It's that colour. Perfect. Yeah. That colour. Whoop whoop. So again, you know, it's there. Do it if you wish. I have one of these for tomorrow. This was the only merchant's tree that I had left from Liberty. So again, it's just we've got to clear the space somehow. There's no point in me doing a whole project with just like 1 or 2.
No,
just no point. So make the most of it. Yes, look at this. So this is another one. I had slightly more of these. So
nice.
That soft vanilla. How beautiful is that with that little posy? Just beautiful.
So
and you know how we were working with the mocha block the other day, and it just really called for that contrasting colour? Well, this is what I thought would be beautiful and absolutely perfect. And if you bought the 2, then you'd have the blue and the yellow, which work beautifully together. Let me show you that. And you'd have a metre of Liberty.
Yeah, so you could make patchwork blocks and then have a nice border as well.
Out of Liberty, Jane.
Out of Liberty.
Liberty for 20 quid. Amazing. Whoop. Oh. I mean, that's not everyone's favourite colour, right? Biscuit.
Yeah, it's a bit, isn't it?
But
Then you put it with
then these little guys come trotting and you go, but of course that's the perfect colour. This is why we have 70 different planes here at Natasha Makes, and that's just the planes. That's not the blenders, that's not the grandies that we've just had come in. That's none of that. That's just these.
Yeah.
So that we can always get you the right colour. Always get you the right
It's
colour.
such a trial being surrounded by such fabulous colours.
It's tough, you know,
It's
but
so
someone's
awful.
got to do it. Someone's got to do it. I've got 4 of these. This is your Adlington haul with gold. I heart that
Oh, that's beautiful,
so
isn't
much.
it? It just lifts that up completely.
So much. I tried it with the red, I tried it with the blue, and I went, just no, gold! I don't know, I have to shout that at you. I think because it's part of a
It's the
song.
only way to say it.
There's no other way, right? No other way. Right, let's talk octopi for a moment. Now, you know the stowaway bag that we've got?
Yeah.
The pattern?
Mhm.
I made one, or did Gemma make one? I can't remember. One of us made one out of the octopi. I think Gemma made it
Yeah.
for me. I went, could you do something with this? Now, how about... La 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 la
Oh,
la
that's
la.
good.
Chambray it up. Check that out. Now the chambray is 58 inch wide.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no, so you're getting even more for your money here. But that would do you, the stowaway bag. So you'd have a K-Facet Collective. This is Brandon's octopus. And what little boy does not want a swimming bag out of that, right?
Yeah, octopus on, yes.
Any
Perfect.
child that likes anything sea-based
Yeah.
needs this in their life. Having said that, my dad's masks were made out of this as well. So, you know,
Brilliant.
when I say any little boy, like
Yeah, big
70
boys
plus
too.
is still... But yeah, I thought perfect. It's funny, I cut up all these fabrics and I think, oh, I hope somebody makes such and such a thing out of it. And the other thing that we touched on very briefly yesterday, sticker, was the backing fabrics. These are $9.99 for a metre. Again, these are super wide. And I think, again, if you're making anything for the kids, the grandkids or anything like that, now you see,
Good fun.
it is good fun.
And bag lining as well.
Oh yeah, just bags.
Bags, yeah.
Just bags.
Yeah.
You know,
Again, the stowaway bag would be perfect.
but
wouldn't
yeah,
it?
just a simple
children.
drawstring bag for their PE kit or their
Yeah.
trainers or whatever stuff, or even if it's just a little cushion on their bed. Our book cushions as well. I mean,
Yeah.
Joe Carter's book cushions were gorgeous yesterday, but
Yeah.
you know, if they're a bit older for the panda, then something like this,
I was just thinking Smarts would be nice in those as well.
Wouldn't they?
Yeah, or the math.
they'd be
For the,
really
you
great
know,
fun.
Early teen boy.
Absolutely.
Oh, good.
Well, I mean, how many adults like Marvel things?
Yeah.
Yeah, whoosh, bash, 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 crang, bash, bash, crang, bash, crash. I'm going to stop talking. I'm just moving these out your way. I'm just having a quick tidy up. I don't know when I can get these back again. It's taken me about 6 months to get them back into stock in the first place. So if you wanted one and you were waiting for one, please do grab one. Those, when they're gone. And same with that, 3 of those left. Do have a little perusal. Oh, and the tins are just cute. Treat yourself. There we go.
Get them now ready for Christmas. Little stocking fillers, gifts for sewing friends.
Honestly, do you think they're going to last until Christmas? No.
You'll put them away in the corner and think, I'll remember those for later.
No, you
then you won't
won't.
be able to find
forget them. And you'll find them next Easter and go, could have been using those for a year. I salute the fact that it wouldn't work for me. SJ actually wants the space fabric for herself. This is a safe space, SJ. You can admit that. And actually, what's really lovely, do you remember when SJ first started working with us? And she only liked plain. She's like, I just like the batiks. I don't like the patterns. I don't understand them. I'm glad that we're progressing to space fabrics. Actually, they'd make lovely duvets as well, wouldn't they?
Yes, actually.
Really beautiful. It's being sold by the metre as well. It's not been cut. So if you bought 2 units, that would be 2 metres.
Yes, you get it in a continuous piece.
Claire, what about the backing of your alphabet cushion in the...
Oh, yeah.
Pow, pow. It's all good. Mine too. Comments just get stuck at 1. Oh, the TV keeps pausing. Oh, morning, Laurie. Morning, Lorraine. Oh, she's going to catch up later. Oh, Lisa, sorry. I don't know where that is happening. Such lovely fabric. Anyone else shop faster than they sew? Jane, we have already decided that shopping for fabric and using it are 2 different hobbies.
Definitely 2 different hobbies, yeah.
One is environmentally friendly because it means that you are insulating your home beautifully. Curating, giving you joy. I mean, since when did any other insulation bring you joy?
I don't know of any. Unless you've got a strange fetish for fibres.
I mean, we're not here to judge. But yeah, it would be a bit weird. Curating. I like that. And so they'll go live tonight. I'm going to move out of the way so that Jane can show you what we have on the show today. I'm going to go sit in my new swivelly chair. Bye.
Bye-bye.
If you hear me swivelling...
new executive chair, which is just absolutely gorgeous. Plush, what would you say it was? Blush velvet? Would you call it blush?
I'd call it a misty pink.
Misty pink. It's just a bit gorgeous.
Misty pink velvet swivel chair. I
We're
mean,
easily pleased, but you know, what can
most
I tell
people
you?
go for that, you know, sensible like blue or black or normal office chairs. No. No, it's really comfy. Very good for the posture, actually.
It looks really nice, and it sort of looks like it sort of hugs you slightly.
Yeah. Oh, we
Very
could all
nice.
do with a hug.
Definitely.
Socially distanced, appropriate type chair. Morning,
Definitely.
Susie. Oh, do I keep on freezing everywhere? I don't know why. That's annoying. But often it washes back normally.
Yes.
We never know why it does it, does it? Some does it?
Does it?
Does it? Don't know why it does it.
It does that.
Sometimes it's all right on YouTube. Sometimes it's all right on the website.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, because I said do's it. I don't know why I
Suddenly
talk
gone
like that now.
Dorset.
I'm a farmer. We've lost Sarah as well, so she's just going to have to catch up later. My chair is fabulous, Pam. It's beautiful. I might take a photo of it later to show you. And it was in the sale. Just
Bonus.
saying.
Bonus.
Sarah. Jane,
Yes.
over to you.
Okay. These are the kits. We haven't got particularly many of them because you've got 1.5 meters of this fabric. And
It's
then
designer-tastic, isn't it?
the coordinating fabrics. You've got a little bit more than you need because you might be wanting to make it bigger, slightly longer, maybe wider. Because this quilt all came about because Natasha showed me this fabric and said, what do you think we can do with this?
I love how I get the blame.
When I was beginning my patchwork journey, I don't like that word at all, but when I first started out learning how to do patchwork and quilting, I was really interested in the traditional quilts.
Yes.
And my teacher, Chris Francis, is Welsh by heritage.
Right.
And the Welsh strippy quilts, when we go back in time, we had quilting here, but we tended to do whole cloth quilts because we'd have big pieces of fabric.
Right.
And we just quilted designs on them. We didn't do so much patchwork.
Oh, look at us showing off with our big bits of fabric.
And so we would tend to use big sheeted pieces that quite often they'd weave it. And you've got the Durham traditional quilting, which is whole cloth, and you've got the Welsh quilting. And each family, in certain instances, had their own quilting designs, their own patterns that they handed down through generations. And the Welsh strippy quilts, again, will use strips, long strips of plain fabrics that they join together to make a quilt. And each strip would have a different quilted design in each strip. And Chris had copied a design from one of her grandmother's quilts, I think, but she'd used a really big, bold, flowery pattern, and then taken the pattern colours to do a 4-patch in the other strips.
Nice.
And so that's where my inspiration came from for this, because as soon as I saw this fabric, I was like, you don't want to cut this up. You want to keep the design, the strip, in it somehow. Because
How much do you have left over, Jane?
I've used, this quilt is 48 inches long.
So, and you've got 1.5 meters, so
yeah, so
you've got about 12 inches left over.
Yeah. So you could put another row of blocks, and because it's got 5 repeats.
Oh, God, it's
on it.
huge.
Now I used 3 repeats in mine, and then I used these other 2 repeats to make the binding.
Which is fabulous because it just looks like
Because it gives it a stripy, scrappy binding, which is lovely.
Do you know what I would do with my leftover fabric with this one? I'd use it to make a book tote.
Yes,
Because
it looks like stacks of books.
If you spin it round the other way, it would
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
either a stack of books or you could chop it along the bottom
Yeah.
so it just looks like a shelf of books.
There's a patchwork pattern called coins. I think sometimes it's called Chinese coins. because in China they stack their coins up in piles,
Right.
and this pattern is similar to that pattern. It's all irregular.
Okay, nice.
So I think maybe this is what it's Anna Marie Horner fabric, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, Anna Maria.
So
And I think it just looks like you've done a lot more than you actually have.
because when you from a distance looking at that, it looks like you've done the Chinese coin pattern,
Yeah,
but you haven't. But you
absolutely haven't.
So it's actually quite a quick quilt to make, and I'm going to go through the 4-patch and the construction, but I'm also going to spend a bit of time today on the quilting, because we had a message from one of our ladies saying, you know, we don't spend much time on a quilting, and maybe further down the line we might even just do a show on quilting and stuff.
Well, especially with our block of the month.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and you don't very often, sometimes when you see people demonstrating, you don't actually see them demonstrating on a full-size quilt. Now, I'm very aware that's not a full-size quilt, but I've deliberately left the middle part of that unquilted, so I'm going to do the middle section of that today.
Nice.
So you can watch me, which is a bit like watching paint dry, but you can watch me do the quilting on it. But it's not
Really
a long...
sell the show, Jane.
Yeah.
Really sell that show.
I don't know. It's like, do you really want to stand there watching me quilt? But there we go.
Yes.
So that's what we're going to do. So that's that's the kit 1, which is the one on the wall. And then you've got, again, this is Anna Maria Horner, the coordinating fabrics. Now, I'm not sure they're part of the same collection, but they go so beautifully.
Do you want to put that on a close-up?
With the
One, treat yourself.
with the gorgeousness of the fabric. The colours are so rich, and really that picture that I'm looking at doesn't do it justice, because you've got they're really vibrant. They're the same pattern, different colourways.
Yeah, I think lots of you are. We've put a link on for Facebook, for YouTube. So if you're struggling with Facebook today, just pop onto YouTube and watch us there. I don't think the gremlins are playing there. Gemma says it's fine on YouTube.
Okay, and we've got 1/2 metre of light lilac,
Which goes beautifully.
I quite liked it, the similarness of the background on that one. I thought it sort of then looks like those 4 patches are just floating down. It is slightly shade different, but not enough to notice. So that's quilt kit 1.
From here you can't see it.
No, I think, you know, when you look at it really closely, you can see the slight shading. But again, it sort of gives it a definition, which is quite nice.
I like it.
And then the other quilt kit, because I'd sort of put another fabric to one side that was very vibrant again, but I was struggling with the colours to go with. And then I was talking to Natasha about it yesterday, and we were looking at this. We'd already been talking about doing something with this one, hadn't we?
I'm putting it out there. I heart this very much.
Again, you've got 1.5 meters of this. It's just gorgeous.
Now, there may be those of you that just go, yeah, I'll just have the fabric. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
You
So
can
put
get
the rest in my stash.
Yeah. You know, maybe your skills aren't up for a full quilt yet. That's absolutely fine. But maybe you just need a lot of fabric in your stash. We don't make judgments as to why you want your fabric. We just know that the colours that we've put with this one are a bit gorgeous.
It's not a big quilt. It'd make a nice, child's play mat, a nice lap quilt on your chair, on the back of your sofa. If you've got someone that you know that uses a wheelchair, these quilts are lovely for tucking round and go round the back and over the knees and right down to the ankles, so while they're outside it keeps them nice and warm.
I also call these cat quilts because as soon as I put one over my legs, because they're sort of leg length for me, they're nice to tuck under my legs.
Yeah, they're just nice to have over your knee while you're watching the television.
It's like a cat magnet.
Yes, they do love to snuggle up with you, don't they? So
right, come on, Jane, we've got to show everyone this colour combo, because
Natasha and I played with several colours, didn't we? And we were like, yeah, no, like that. That one's nice. And we really, both of us really like the magenta.
Yeah, so that was our starting point, wasn't it?
And we both said it needs to be on a black background.
Yep.
Because the black zings it.
Tick.
But we were struggling with something. We looked at the blue and we looked at the lighter lilac colour, because there's all sorts of colours in here. And then we really, both of us went green, and we came up with, it's apple, isn't it, on this one? And it really popped it.
Oh, do you want to hold it up by the machine?
We can put the whole lot together.
Yeah, the
You'll
whole
see.
shebang.
You
Check
can see that.
that out.
And then that lovely green in there.
Oh, if you just hold it slightly lower so we can see the actual green in the fabric.
there we go.
Look at that! That, boom, is why we did it.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll have fabric left over, so, you'll be
Yeah.
able to do other stuff. Just love that fabric.
So
Look at
those
it.
are the two quilt kits we've got. And we don't say it's a well, it is. It's maybe slightly more masculine colourway, this one. Or not.
I think it's an anyone colourway. I
Anyone.
absolutely
we
adore
don't
it.
really sort of decide whether they're going to be suitable for men or women. We're just like, if you
It's
love
fabric.
it, take it.
Love it, have it. Karen says that she's very glad that we don't judge. She said my stash is growing by the week. Yeah, but you'll just like whip up 6 dresses in a
I was
blink.
going to say, she doesn't hang
Yeah,
around with
you
her
don't
fabric.
hang
It
around.
doesn't stay in your
No.
unmade in your house for long, Karen. I'm pretty sure of that.
Ali says that she's starting up a Natasha Makes Satellite warehouse. But don't tell Paul. I'm not telling Paul. I'm just your friend that likes to send you fabric.
Yeah. It's very
Everyone
generous friend.
needs
Everybody
one.
needs one. Okay. So, you've got your instructions here, step-by-step instructions. And as I say, the one that I've made here is 40 by 48 inches.
Still quite a good size, isn't it?
It's a good size.
That would go really nicely just across the bottom of a single bed, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Again, for the cat.
Cat sit on it, lovely, love it. Okay, so we're going to make the 4-patch. It's a 4-patch on point.
That has flashbacks of Hogwarts for me.
Yes.
When you suddenly put it together, I was
Yeah.
like, we have
one of the houses.
Yeah, we've
Yeah.
accidentally made a Harry Potter quilt,
Yes,
unbeknownst to us.
that's right. It could. Just making sure I've got the right one. That's that one. Just took that under there. Yeah. So yes, you could. Yes, you could match your colours, couldn't you, to your favourite Hogwarts house, Slytherin or Hufflepuff or Gryffindor. Because we're doing the planes by the half metre now, aren't we?
We are going to launch those very soon.
Exciting.
So just that's the other thing. So we will, as soon as we do this stock take that has gone on forever, which has meant we've had to tidy everything, rearrange
It's done
everything,
us a
regroup.
favour in a way because we've found things, haven't we, that we'd forgotten.
We've found things, we've rearranged, we've reorganised, we've regrouped, we've done all sorts of exciting things, but it has gone on for nearly a month to then get the actual final.
I think it's been quite an eye-opener, hasn't it, particularly for you, to know how big you've got in that year. Because when we first started and we did that first block of the month, Alistair was helping us with the fabric, wasn't he?
Yeah, because we didn't have the means to cut it all.
No.
And now we're a whiz with a pair of cutting scissors and off we go.
Yeah.
No, it has been an eye-opener, and also I'd forgotten all the different things that we've done over the year.
This is it. We're so busy looking forward and thinking about the next project and what we're going to do next and the new fabrics coming in, that sometimes we forget just to stop and reflect on what we've done and how we can sometimes reimagine previous projects, which
so
is
this
lovely.
is the other thing. So we're getting to the stage where I'm going to take a few kits onto Hochanda, hopefully at some point.
Yeah.
Would you like me to offer them to you guys first? So when I say that, when I started the Fusion Fridays, I had in my head doing different fabrics as well as different colourways and different makes and different varieties in my head. So things like if I put a fat quarter of quilted PU with a plain and then a fat quarter of a gorgeous print, then that is basically your kit to do... oh, hang on. If I throw this at you, Jane.
Yeah.
To do something like this.
Which is lovely. Look at that. Extra pocket, nice little handy pouch.
But
is it lined as well?
Yeah.
So you've got a fabric line, yeah. It's lovely.
So that's what I mean. That's what I thought for the trios, because not everyone quilts. So, things like that. I've got one upstairs that I keep my makeup in, and it's really useful. So all the brushes sit down along the side.
Yeah. They'd make lovely gifts as well, wouldn't they?
I have also done that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's one of those things. So if that's the sort of thing, if you'd like first dibs on our kits, then just let me know. and I'll see what we can do on that. Yes to the kits, says Diane. Oh, well, there we go.
Yeah, I think we all like a kit. Sometimes we just like an instant project, don't we? Bit of something that we can just do maybe in a weekend or one day, just make something. Sometimes I think we get a little bit bogged down with all the big projects, and sometimes you just need little something, a quick make, just to get your sourdough back
And that
up
was
again.
the idea of the 12 days of Christmas.
Yes.
Was to give you little quick makes that you could make but feel like you'd achieved something in between Christmas and New Year that wasn't going to overface, was suitable for all levels.
Yeah.
And I hope that people like that.
I think we've been seeing, haven't we, people have made things and shared the pictures with us, which is lovely. Okay, so we're going to do the 4-patch. Now, we've done 4-patch several times, and you know, it's one of the most basic blocks. It's so effective, and sometimes when you put it on point, it can look completely different.
Stunning.
So we've got 2 strips of fabric. They're cut at 3¼ inches. We've sewn them together along the long side. We're going to cut them up into 3¼ inch segments. When I cut my fabric, I line up the line on the ruler with the seam line, just because these cut edges, although you try your best to cut them, by the time you sew them together they might just be a little bit wobbly. So just trimming the selvage off the one end and then turning it round. If you've got your stripology ruler, 3¼ is easy to do, isn't it, with your stripology?
Yeah, just shift it over
whiz
one.
that up, no problem, cutting it up. I'm just going to cut one lot of segments off here to make the 4-patch, just because I want to get to the quilting side of things for you so that we can talk a little bit more about the quilting.
Oh, lots of yeses to kits. Gosh, I hadn't realised, darling. And do you want zips and stuff? Do you want all of that kind of stuff in with it as well?
I think it's nice, isn't it, to have everything together, so you've got it all in one.
Do you remember when we
bundle.
did those star lace zips?
Oh, they were lovely.
Yeah, they flew, didn't they? Maybe I need to do some more of those.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I'm on it.
So you'll cut up the whole, it's a width of fabric strip. You'll cut it all up into 3¼ segments. You take 2 of the segments and you turn one 180 degrees. And then, because we've pressed the seam to the darker fabric, lovely magenta on this one, when you put those together, your seam will nestle. So when you come to sew that together, you're going to get lovely points matching in the middle.
Jane, I might have to insist that every time you say the dark side.
The dark side.
And I'd like it in a Star Wars styly, please. I mean, I know it's not part of your contract, but you know.
I think we've knocked a stitch on this something, but we were doing a different stitch completely there. May have just knocked the...
Oh, sorry, that might have been me.
No, it's fine. What I'm going to do, I'm going to just put that to one side and I'm going to cut another 2 strips.
Do it.
Got an interesting embroidery stitch there, which is lovely, but it's not what we want.
I mean, options, Jane.
Yeah,
it's always good
always
to have
good,
options.
yeah.
Oh, Donna wants kits. Jan, yep.
I think we like a little kit that just, you know, an instant.
Do you want the instruction? You see, this is where I struggle, because like most of our instructions now are downloadable. We're getting to that stage where most of them are downloadable, or you can buy them and I'll print them off and send them. That's no problem. But I don't want to make it more expensive for those that might already have the instructions. So what I'll do is I'll put the kits together and have it as a serving suggestion of works perfectly with ... I think.
I think that's a good idea.
All right, okay.
Because like you say, sometimes people have already got the instructions, haven't they?
Exactly.
But that's better. Nice 1/4 inch seam.
And no fancy stitching.
No unusual embroidery, which is fine. I'm going to do my little twiddly thing that I like to do, just unpicking a couple of stitches up to there on both sides. And again, this comes in handy when you're doing your quilting, because it just makes the seams lie flatter.
Oh, I've got some tips, hints and tricks for that, which I'm going to show you another time. You've just reminded me. Pam says, poor Ho Chanda, you won't have anything left for them. Soz Ho Chanda. But, you know, Natasha makes guys get first dibs, right?
First dibs, definitely.
Yeah.
So there you have your 4-patch. And as I say, I've just twiddled unpick that so then I can press one seam one way and one the other, and that just lies nice and flat in the middle rather than it. I mean, it's not very bulky, but when you come in to do your quilting, the less layers of fabric you have to sew through, the easier it makes for you.
Oh no, see, Ali G makes the very good point that all-inclusive kits are nice because then she's got everything, because she's new to sewing, so doesn't have a big stash. I mean, we will put that right for you.
Yes, we're very good at doing that. We're not
like
enablers, but yeah, we are.
It's like charity work, isn't it,
Yeah.
really? You know, you have a need, we will help you.
Yeah, definitely. We can do that. We have the power. So I've got the background fabric square. I've cut it at 4 7/8 of an inch, and I'm just going to cut it in half diagonally through from corner to corner, across both diagonals, just through the one to make half square triangles. So we're then going to sew one triangle to the opposite sides, and then we'll press that open, and then we'll sew them to the two opposite to that. Now, to make sure that your triangle's in the middle, just going to get rid of that one, I've obviously not cut that quite right. Just fold your triangle in half, point to point, and just give it a little squeeze on the fold there, so it gives you a little line, and then that line can line up with that seam in the middle of your 4 patch, just along there. And that will make sure that your triangle is in the middle of your square.
Jackie says I'm a great enabler. You know, if it had to be a list of skills on my CV, then there are worse things.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
And Ali G says, yeah, my stash is growing thanks to your lives. I mean, it's our absolute pleasure.
We like to please. We don't.
Oh, Ven's been out for a jog. What are you doing? What are you doing jogging? Goodness me. She was like jogging into the film The Fog along the seafront. Are you quite close to no, who was it? To Susan in Battle? And then if you go along a bit, then we normally have June on as well. I don't know where June is this morning. She might be out with the dogs. She's Eastbourne. And then if you go a little bit further along, you get to my mum and dad at Seaford.
Oh, cool.
I mean, we're just working our way along the south coast, aren't we? Yeah. Oh, sorry, Elizabeth. Yeah, so we're going to get another photo bomb. Oh, I've got to print that off. I did promise that I would send that to you. I haven't. I'd say I haven't forgotten. I remember in the middle of the shows. Geraldine says, Jane, can I ask you, what foot do you use on your Elna machine to stitch in the ditch? Is it a blind hen foot?
I just use the walking foot. I'm sorry. I just use the walking foot, and we can talk about this when we come to the quilting. I can show you. Have we got the walking foot for this machine, Natasha?
Yes.
That was one. I knew I'd forget something, and that was one of the things I was going to ask you
on the trolley.
this morning.
It's third row down next to my hammer. You know, these
Where
are other
else would it
vital
be?
things.
Essential sewing item, a hammer.
Well, they are when you do stuff like eyelets.
Yes, of course.
You need some bashing based equipment.
Yeah.
And also, yeah, when you make really big quilts and we don't have enough quilty hooky things, then, you know, I have to bash stuff into the wall then.
Yes, that's true.
I'm going to have to repaint that wall soon, aren't I?
It's going to end up with starting to look a little bit like my mum's bathroom wall that I'm using as a display board.
She doesn't mind.
She's very understanding.
The other thing, Kate, I just thought is, you know, you could always put cork. You can get those cork tiles, can't you?
Yeah.
So, which is lovely and warm in a bathroom. We used to have cork floor in our bathroom growing up, and it was lovely and warm. We never had cold feet getting out onto a cork floor. So what she needs to do is just pop a bit up on the wall. I'm sure Glenn can help.
Yeah, she won't mind.
And
then
then
cork tiles on her wall.
Right.
She is understanding, but I think that's taking it a little bit too far.
I like to think you're just helping her with a little bit of DIY. Elizabeth says, of course, it's next to my hammer. I've got mini hammers. They're great. I like my little mini hammers. Geraldine says
just what you need.
thanks. Oh, but you are so experienced. I've never done it, but can't wait to ruin my hard work. Oh no, so don't want to ruin her hard work.
No, of course you don't. And the thing is, you can, on some machines you can get a ditch foot, and it's got like a little guide on it so that it keeps it in the ditch.
Yes.
And it's like anything, the more you do it, the better you get at it. And I think, don't worry too much. And maybe don't sew in the ditch, just sew along the edge of the seam. Just so it's,
Just sew in a thread that will blend if you're worried. And the thing is, Geraldine, for me, I sat on so many part-made projects because I was scared to do stuff.
Yes.
But there's nothing like having the pressure of your own show that means actually, big girl pants on, I had to crack on and actually do it. And the improvement, and I look back with love at my earlier makes, because we've all been at that stage at some point, but better made than not.
Even the award-winning quilters that we all know and love have got quilts that they made their very first one, and they'll be happy to show you because it'll be full of learning parts, bits where you've done it and you've thought, won't do that again. Or, oh, well, if I do it like this, I'll do it better next time.
Do you know what? We had this conversation with Freddie last night because he's trying really hard with his handwriting and it's so lovely and neat.
Lovely, neat writing.
Really neat writing. And
because he's only just 7.
And I did say to him, look, we've all noticed how lovely and neat your writing is and how hard you're trying with it and how, you try really hard with your spellings. Like we know that this is happening and we appreciate it. Thank you very much. And I said, just think how far you've come. Emily is 4.5 years younger than you and she still can't write. And in that time, because he was complaining that he'd had to write over 100 words for a comprehension.
Oh, gosh.
And I said, yeah, but Freddie, just think, a few years ago, you couldn't even write. You couldn't even make a letter.
Yeah, I think, and it's like we were just saying, isn't it? Looking back, and you forget.
And his little face, and he was like, yeah, I've done really well, haven't I? I'm like, yeah, you have. Yeah, you have. But you've got to dip your toe in, haven't you? And you've got to stick your finger out and draw the letter in the sand. To start off with. That's how we all start everything. Yeah. So, Geraldine, just find a thread that's going to blend. Go for mushroomy colours, greys, mushroomy colours, neutrals, they'll blend.
For in the ditch and everything. And I think, don't be too hard on yourself because you'll get there. And it's like, if you don't try, you'll never do it. This is the thing. And I think you've got to do that first one that's a little bit wobbly and you think, well, not, but... And we're our own worst critic, aren't we? We're the
Jen, when I first started, just imagine what it was like for me when I first started quilting, surrounded by all of you guys that were all, like the best in the business.
We've all been in the same situation.
But the thing was, I learned so much, and then my skill set didn't match my knowledge. But things like 1/4 inch feet with the edges on helped me tremendously when I realised I couldn't actually sew a straight line. My old machine didn't help. But it was just one of those things. Like, why can't I? But that helped. That helped tremendously.
When I first started, there weren't the sort of gadgets and helpful aids that we have now. We were having to, I was working with a steel rule to work out my 1/4 inch. And my machine. When I first started sewing, I was using my nana's hand machine. There was no 1/4 inch seam foot allowance, moving your needle. Or anything. It was none of that. So
if you got scant, you got scant. If you didn't, you didn't. Who cared? It happened.
The thing is, it's a consistent seam.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
No.
If your seam allowance is the same throughout your project, it's going to come out the same way. Yeah. So don't worry too much about it.
Oh, there we go. That's our soapbox moment, isn't it?
Yeah. Feel yourself being lectured to.
With love, lectured with love. Yeah. And yes, Susan, you do need a hammer in your sewing room.
Yes, of course.
Call yourself a crafter without a hammer in your sew. What have you been doing? And Jo says, my fabric stash is my therapy. Anytime I feel down, I just have a sort through all that loveliness. Your shows give me a week structure, basically lets me know what day it is. I'm glad you know what day it is. I have no idea.
I've got no idea what day it is.
No idea.
It's colour therapy as well, isn't it? They say this, that the colours, they lift your mood and stuff like that. So if you've got a box full of gorgeous fabric, it's going to lift your mood just by looking at it and folding it and putting it back again.
Oh, Kate's vetoed the cork tiles.
Yeah, I thought she might.
She's been there in the 1970s.
Yes. She does that a lot. She's like, yeah, been there, done that, not doing it again.
Spoil sport. Geraldine says that her pants are big.
Yeah.
So, you know, you're halfway there.
We've all got them, Geraldine.
Big girl pants.
Get them on.
Perfect. Perfect.
So we're going to sew these 4 patch blocks together now, and we're going to sew them together in pairs. And at this point, you can decide whether you want to have all the colours running in a straight line,
Ooh.
or whether you might like to twist them
Oh,
so you
controversial.
get alternate ones. And I think we'll just do that with this one. Place them right sides together. Now, what I will suggest that you do is you've got like an X marks the spot here where your seams come together, and that's the point of your square. So if you pop a pin through that point there and just through the other one, because with the best will in the world and with all the, you know, we take our time cutting and all of that, you might find that if you put them right sides together and line them up, that they don't quite come together. So I think it's more important that your squares come together in a row.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
You can always adjust your seam into your seam allowance if it's not quite straight.
Now, Helen says that she's just finished a quilt top that she started in 2013. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, whenever. How
I've got
my
quilt tops older than that.
yeah, no judgment here, like we say. It's just how my technique has improved. There were bits that I wouldn't even entertain now, but that's all part of it, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's lovely
it's all
sometimes.
part of the learning process, and this is the joy of working with fabric and developing your skills. You get to learn and improve, and it's all part of the joy of it, I think. You know, it's, it gives
Ali
you-
doesn't have a hammer, but she does have a dedicated rubber mallet. Well, we've got a rubber mallet too. I mean,
That
let's not.
works.
Let's
That
not.
works.
Yeah.
So what you will do, you won't get yourself caught up in all the wires down here.
Health and safety.
Don't tell Gemma.
Don't tell me no. She's not here yet. It's fine.
You'll make all of your blocks into pairs, and on this one you've got 3 pairs sewn together to make a row. I've got a piece of fabric here. Mine's not the full 1.5 meters. I just thought I'd make a smaller version for demonstration purposes. I thought I got another block made and I haven't, so I'm going to quickly make another block and
Do
then
it.
we can.
Oh, Jem, she says,
Talk
we
about
hear
it.
this a lot. I was not in a good place for a while last year, and watching Natasha makes gave me a reason to get out of bed and gave my days and weeks structure. Yeah, bet you regret now, don't you, Gemma?
Yes.
You're working for us full time.
Yeah.
Soz about that. Bet you wish you'd stayed in bed.
I'm glad you got out of bed and came, Gemma.
I used to when I first needed an extra set of hands for cutting, and Gemma was on complete lockdown. I used to drive over, leave boxes of fabric in her garage where it would decontaminate for a day.
Yeah.
And then she'd get it out, she'd cut it up a bit, and then put it back in. I'd just wave at her through the window and go, another delivery.
More fabric.
Susan's
Lovely.
up for a hammer. She says it's hubby not quite so keen for some reason. Look, I wouldn't worry about it. I hammer things regularly about 4:30 in the morning and nobody even wakes up. So, you know.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
Just like, go
And you
for
see
it.
nothing wrong with both. Get yourself a rubber mallet as well. I mean, we'll treat you to all the goodies, won't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Essential sewing tools.
Absolutely. Oh, Glenn's watching.
See? You're supposed to be painting walls.
I think he's more worried about the fact that you've got many hammers.
I was used to that.
Alison's got
I'm
a
a bit
little
of a
hammer
right
in her
said
desk.
Fred, I am, and he's like, no, don't do that. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do this bit. Yeah, I'm sure if we do that, that'll work.
It'll be fine.
It'll be fine. And he's like, no.
Alison's got a little hammer in her desk drawer. It's essential equipment. Exactly. Geraldine says she's learned so much from watching shows for the last 4 years. She's never done patchwork or quilting before. What, do you know what? That's really lovely. Really
Isn't
lovely.
it? And this is, I think this is half the joy. And I've always found this, going to patchwork classes and belonging to the Patchwork Guild and things like that. Ladies that do patchwork and quilting love sharing their knowledge.
Of course I do.
So if you've ever got a little thing that you're doing and you're not sure, and you know, there's somebody out there that will know, and they're more than happy to share their experience, how they've overcome that problem that you might be facing, or even if they haven't overcome it, they might say, well, if you try this, or have you thought about that? It's lovely.
Diane would like to share her tip, which is that she bought a set of bright pink tools so they don't disappear into the man shed.
That's a good idea,
Perfect,
yeah.
perfect. Actually, you can get quite a lot down your local garden centre with florally bits and bobs on, and then they don't disappear into the man shed either. Susan says, I can feel hammers, rubber mallets, loads more coming. It'll happen.
Natasha makes
Toolkit, essential toolkit.
Essential tools.
Elizabeth says, mine's in a silk roll, haha. I mean, I don't want to ask.
No.
We'll leave that one there, I think. When you go for the when you go for the walking foot, the hammer's just next to it. You can share my hammer.
I'll share your hammer.
Yeah. Because I did have a bigger hammer, but I found it a bit too unwieldy.
It's nice yours, isn't it? Because it's got a short handle on it.
Yeah.
That one with a short handle.
So you can really get up a good whatever. Maggie says, Margaret says, if you don't have a hammer handy, then a high-heeled shoe makes a reasonable substitute. Block or wedge heel, not stiletto.
No,
I'm glad
stilettos don't work.
No. You might. Well, you could use those instead of your tailor's awl, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Your stiletto. Heather's she's up the ante with a set of pliers.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got a couple of sets of pliers.
They always come in handy too.
And a spanner.
I managed to put a stiletto heel through my own toe because I'm such a tomboy.
Sorry, you did what?
Put a stiletto heel through my own toe. I jumped over a wall with stiletto shoes on and landed on my one foot on top of the other.
Of course you did.
And the heel went through my toe.
Amazing.
I'm nothing if not accident prone.
Just wow.
Just warn you there.
Just wow. When you got married, did you wear like high heel stiletto-y based things then?
No, I wore flat shoes when I got married because Glenn and I are the same height.
Are you?
So in the photographs I didn't want to appear tall. I don't care normally. I'm not bothered if I'm tall, and he's just not bothered. But in the photographs, I didn't want me to look like I was towering over him. So I actually wore flat shoes when I got married.
I had a little heel, but to be honest, as soon as we got back home for the reception, it was straight into flip-flops. I bought some glittery flip-flops. I was like, they'll do. No one will know.
No.
How am I supposed to dance in heels? Oh, Myra says, my wee hammer is like scissors. I go ballistic if the other half even looks at it. Great idea, go pink. Yeah. I can see, yeah. Oh, Barbara's only just tuned in. What have I missed? Hammers, mallets, yeah, all of it. Pliers as well, we've just upped the ante.
Yeah, we've just upped the ante with
Karen's
pliers.
Basically traumatised at the abuse that the shoes are taking.
Yeah, Karen's shoes are just amazing.
Karen is the only person that I know that can wear like 6-inch heels round. I want to say Morrison's, but I don't think that's upmarket enough for how Karen dresses. I think it's got to be at least Waitrose.
Yeah. Well, I've met Karen.
If not Fortnum and Mason's.
Karen walks round in 16 stilettos round a quilt show.
Yeah,
when most of us, within a half an hour are like, gotta go get these off my feet. She'll do a full day in a quilt show with amazing. I mean,
Wendy Gardner's like that though as well.
I just love her shoes.
Every time I've worked with Wendy, she comes with like the most ridiculous heels too. When I did the Great British Showing Bee live,
I've done here now.
Wendy Gardner spent the whole time in like 6-inch. I salute you. I absolutely salute you. And to be fair, I used to teach all day in 6-inch heels.
Yeah, I mean, I like wearing a heel, to be honest. Yeah. And I do have shoe envy for Karen's shoes because they are beautiful. Just delicious.
My beautiful heels, my taxi to table shoes now sit in a cabinet so they don't get dusty because, we're not going anywhere.
No.
Oh, okay. So Elizabeth's friend used to get her starter motor on her Mini to go with a clog. I mean, whatever works. We are nothing if not resourceful.
Yeah, we've all got these things, haven't we, that we know how we're... Oh, that's coming. I'm not having much luck with this today.
That's all right. We're talking hammers, it's fine.
Yeah.
Susan lost her favourite measuring tape, hammer, screwdrivers and other DIY items to indoors. I now have the most of the replacements hidden away in my sewing room. Just missing little essentials like the hammer. Yeah. Oh, Donna's up the ante with a small drill. This is all good. Oh, and Ali just used to use her brother's old golf club to whack her starter motor. Jeez, you know, where people say that we need men for stuff like this. Clearly not. I mean, we are sisters doing it for ourselves here, aren't we?
Ourselves, yeah, definitely.
Susan's borrowing her tools back again. And yeah, Karen said, yeah, full day in heels, no problem for me. The trouble is, if I wear 6-inch heels,
Yeah.
I had 2 boyfriends, not at the same time I hasten to add, who were like 6'6" and 6'7", and that was about the only time that I could wear a 6-inch heel and not feel ridiculous.
This, I don't know what it is. There's something nice about wearing a heel, though, isn't it? It makes you feel.
Puts your bum on a pedestal.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Oh, I's knees are screaming because we keep talking about such heels. Jojo says hide your tools in a box labelled instruction manuals.
Haha, yes. Yes, because they don't like to read instructions, do they? Right, so I've sewn
Meanwhile,
2 pairs together to make a row of 4. On
Oh,
this
lovely.
one, I sewed 3 pairs together to make a row of 6.
right.
And I've gone alternate on this one, whereas you can see on that one, I kept the colours all going in a line.
Yeah, you did.
So, you know, mix it up, have a look and see what you think. Right, cutting the fabric. Now, normally when we cut the fabric, we cut it width of fabric, so we're cutting from selvage to selvage. With this one, because I wanted to keep that stripe of fabric, we're cutting parallel to the selvage.
Amazing.
So you're going to be cutting along this way, whereas normally you'd be cutting selvage to selvage, but because the pattern runs
that way
along the edge.
Okay. Margaret says that she remembers her mum going a ballistic when her dad borrowed the screwdriver from her sewing machine and then he took the oil. I mean, that's like signing your own death warrant, isn't it? Let's be honest.
So for cutting your fabric, use your selvage as your guide. It may be a little bit wobbly. In the first instance, I've lined the cut edge of the fabric up with the edge of my ruler, just so I can see it. Now, your fabric, obviously, is going to be longer than your ruler.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to show you the technique I use for cutting a longer piece of fabric than my ruler size. So I'll start cutting at the bottom and I'll get about halfway and I'll just slide the ruler up. And bearing in mind that I'm thinking that this is fairly straight on this side, I'll line one of the lines of my ruler up with that edge of that fabric there as well. And just keep going. I'm not moving the fabric, I'm just moving the ruler. So I've got my cut edge now, that's my straight edge, and now I'm going to use my mat now because the width of the strip was decided by the width of the pattern on that fabric, so it's 8.5 inches. Now with this fabric here, I'll just show you on this one, you've got a pattern repeat on this. If you can see that yellow and that yellow there.
Yeah.
So this green piece here and here, I just sort of went, I'm going to need that a bit bigger than 1/4 inch. So I just lined it up each time with the widest part of that pattern as I was cutting to make sure that it was all lined up. And I think I went, oh, let me just have a look at that one. Yeah, I think there's one that's a bit wider than that, but just an equal amount either side of the widest part of that, just to get it lined up so that it was centralised in the middle.
Fabulous.
So you will have a little strip of the lilac once you've cut all your strips out.
Oh, hi, Ginny. She says, I'm 3 days late. Apologies. I mean, that's okay. It's all right. She said it's the dilemma of having enough daylight to go walkies after the frost disease and still manage to fit in Natasha Makes, plus trying the impossible, resisting 2 pairs of beautiful brown eyes staring up at me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she hopes we're all well. No one can resist the chocolate eyes, Ali. You're quite right. Well, in Eric's case, he is my blue-eyed boy.
Yeah. He is. Those photographs that you put of him in the snow were just like gorgeous. So I've got the straight edge that I've just cut lined up with the straight edge on my cutting mat here. and I'm going to do the same again, and I'm measuring at 8.5 because that's what the pattern says. So I'm just going to slide that, I'm on the 8.5 here, and I'm just going to slide that up and make sure I'm pretty much in the same place for the 8.5 there. I don't want to be over there. Just, you know, you'll get, we can all pretty much see a straight-ish line. You can view it. And as I say, you're going to cut halfway up with this against your ruler, by which time then, by sliding your ruler up, you can see that you're in the right place. So you won't have gone too far off. You could always fold your fabric in half once you've got your straight line.
Oh yeah.
And line it, the straight edge up, and then do it that way. I mean, obviously, because you've got 1.5 meters, you're still going to have it a little bit bigger than your ruler, but that might be a little bit more manageable. But it's getting that first initial straight line, and if you use your selvage, that's going to help you.
Perfect. Perfect.
So I'm going to cut just another strip, and then we can get at least 3. One part of it done, so we can
I
get
can't
those
wait
3.
to see how this looks together. I'm so
And
excited.
lovely.
So excited for this one. They're both going to have, both of these quilts are going to have their
A
own
different
unique
feel.
thing, aren't
Yeah.
they? Because Elizabeth's just gone, hang on a minute, what? So Jane didn't piece all those strippy... No, that's the
No.
fabric. No.
Some people might call it a cheats panel. We don't mind.
Well,
we
they
can
haven't
call it
tried
what
to
you
do
like.
it. But
it's no different from those pre-printed quilted panels, is it really? You know, that you just highlight the quilting on. It's not all appliqued for you.
it's just fabric. It's just
It's
fabric.
just
That's
lovely
all
fabric.
good. But yeah, so this is it. And this is going to give such a different feel. And again, it's really hard to decide which kits to go for.
Yeah. So measure, once you've got your patches together, measure them.
Okay.
Because we all work with a 1/4 inch seam, but some of our 1/4 inch seams are a bit wider, a bit shorter than
Some
others.
are more quarter than others.
Yeah. So
It's
just,
okay.
I think I say in the pattern, measure it. I'm saying 48 for mine because they're 8-inch blocks. I've got 6 of them. So 48.5 inches. But just measure it beforehand, just to make sure, because it might be 49, it might be 48, it might be 48.25, just so that you don't get halfway down and find that your panel's not quite as long as your 4 patches. Been there, done that. So we're going to then line that up with your panel, and you're just going to pin that in place, and we're going to sew down. So it's just a seam. We've got what we like to say, the X marks a spot on here. So just make sure that your seam falls on the inside of that so that you're not going to lose the points of your 4 patches. You might on some of them, it's not the end of the world, and then when we look at it in the grand scheme of things, you know, it'll still look like a 4 patch.
It is very clever, isn't it? Now, of course, don't forget that this week is a 4-show week.
Yeah, you've got John coming, haven't you?
Yep. We have indeedy. Speak of the devil, John, it's info@natashamakes.com. So I know you're on
Conjured
air,
him up.
but, sorry?
Have we conjured him up?
We have from somewhere, so I'm really sorry, I know that you're on air, but that's all right, it's all right. We're all good. Hang on, I better text him that just in case.
So we've sewn that together, we'll press that, and because there's less bulk on your strip, I suggest you press the seam under the strip
Okay.
rather than towards the patchwork, just because it'll sit flatter and you've got less bulky seams to try and press underneath. And you'll do 2 like this if you're doing the same pattern as the one on the wall. You'll have 2 pieces done like that.
Jane!
It's gorgeous. And then one of the pairs, you're going to sew a strip to the other side,
I love it.
which we'll just do now. And so you will have a strip, a piece of patchwork with one row of patchwork with a strip on one side, and then you'll have a piece of patchwork with 2 strips on, and then you'll join them together so that they alternate. A strip of fabric, a strip of patchwork.
John is watching. He's multitasking.
Is he?
Yeah. See, John, I hope you don't nick anybody else's hammers. You know.
I'm sure he doesn't. I'm sure he's got his own.
He's got his own hammer.
His own toolkit.
Oh! I've just been reminded because I have a sieve brain sometimes. Have you seen, we've been working on our website, it's been having a little dust down and a little tidy up and a little spring clean, and what we've done...
It's the mindset we're in, isn't it, at the moment, with the website and
just
the
blitzing everything.
warehouse and everything.
Yeah.
A little bit of an update.
But what we've done is we've created a new community page for you, which is just fantastic, and Josh has done an amazing job. So I have to thank him for that. But it just looks phenomenal because so many of you are making and sharing your makes, but we wanted a really far more easily and accessible page so that you can get inspiration, different colorways, all that kind of thing, and just share. And because we've got such an amazing community, it seemed only fair to have a really lovely community page. So please do head along to the website, and it's on the top banner. If you look along the top of the website, you'll see Community Makes. Click on that and have a little peruse. Not right now, because we're, we're watching Jane now.
Don't go anywhere.
Don't go anywhere yet. Oh, Jane, I can't wait for this.
So you'll have your 3 and a 2, and you join them together so that you've got the alternating rows.
Right.
I think it's much easier to do it that way than try to join a strip of fabric, a patchwork, a strip of fabric. You're going to get it bowing slightly if you do it that way. So, and it's a little bit easier to manage as well.
So Jojo says that she wishes that she can make clothes and curtains and cushions, but has never quilted. Just start off by quilting a cushion front.
Yeah.
And it's just that, but a bit bigger.
There we go.
And if you get really stuck, send your really big quilts down to John. He'll quilt it for you.
I was going to say, you'll probably have a long arm quilting person near you. And the first couple of quilt tops I made, I got those professionally quilted because I was scared.
I'm not going
to
lie.
quilt them myself, because you spend so much time, particularly when you first starting, it takes you a long time to cut up the fabric and then sew it back together. The last thing you want to do is then, or you think you will, ruin it by quilting it yourself. But this is a perfect project to have your first go at quilting.
It's a beginner's make, isn't it? You know, Nicola's just said that you make it look so easy. She might just buy this kit. To be honest, and going back to Jojo, I think if you can make clothes, for me, they feel so much harder to do than quilts.
Yes.
But isn't it funny?
I'm like, I'd love to have a go at making some. I mean, I have made dresses and they've washed and they've stayed together, so I can. But it's the finishing touches, isn't it? Like making sure your zip sits flat and things like that I'm not confident with. But
she thinks it's the precision cutting that scares her. Do you know what? Grab yourself a creative grid, you'll be fine. That was what used to hold me back. And then the day that I did my show with Lucy Brennan and she showed me the stripology ruler, I was like, right, I'm having that. Or actually, and that was when I started cutting strips. But before that, I had one of the Fiskars. We've got it in the other room.
Yeah, with the cutter attached to the ruler.
It's on a ruler.
Yeah, so you're not going to slip.
And that was how I first started to cut, because I was scared of using rulers. I'll go and get one in a minute. We've got them in the warehouse. We've got the 24-inch ones, haven't we? We've got the 12-inch ones, but they've got a ruler, and then they've got a steel rule with the rotary cutter attached to it. That's how I used to cut the fabric for Natasha Makes to start off with.
You're not going to slip and cut your fingers.
No,
it's really safe. You're not going to have to worry about remembering to close your rotary cutter. There's all things now on the market to make it so much easier for you.
And I think we've pretty much got them all. Oh, Jill, she said, big thank you to Natasha and all the Makes team. Spent most of 2020 in temporary accommodation due to house flood. No machine, dodgy Wi-Fi, so had to watch on catch-up. You kept me sane, made me laugh, anticipating the parcels with the highlight of the day. I too have a mini warehouse full of beautiful fabric and essential stuff. Spent so much time enjoying my stash and reluctant to cut it. Thank you. Do you know what? I know we say, thank you, that's so kind of you to share that. And, you know.
It is, it's a lovely thing to say.
Yeah. And it's one of those things you just go, well, whatever brings you joy. I know we go, oh, you should use your stash. But if that's not where you get your joy, that's not where you get your joy.
And we've all, I mean, I know there are people out there that will buy to make and they don't have anything left over. They don't have stashes, and that's fine. If that's how you work and you prefer to work that way, that's lovely. But I do know that sometimes you just buy the fabric because you like it, and you'll think about maybe what you'll want to do with it later on. I've used fabric in projects that I've had for years.
Yeah.
And I've been, you know, I've had it like a bundle of 4, but I wanted a 5th one, and then I find the 5th one, and it comes together then. It's just how it is, you know, and sometimes you think, oh, well, I just love this, and then a few years down the line you find the project that you then want to use it for.
I mean, it all comes round, doesn't it? Margaret said that she thought she preferred the Anna Maria Horner, but take a look at this. She's just seen the diamond stripe.
Yeah.
Hey!
It's just a bit gorgeous.
Both, Margaret, both. There's nothing wrong in that.
Okay, so quilting. You'll need your backing fabric, you'll need your wadding. Wadding is down to preferred taste. There's all different waddings out there. I prefer to use an 80-20 just because it's just got that less amount of shrinkage, but it's got the softness of cotton. Polyester's great if you're going to use it for children's quilt because it washes and washes and washes and doesn't shrink. So it depends on what you want to use your quilt for and what project it is, and your budget as to which wadding you use. It's very personal.
And
Wool
also,
waddings are beautiful, very expensive, but they're beautiful to quilt with, and they stay lovely and they're warm and lovely.
can I also just say, if you can't find the wadding that you want, just email us and we'll get it in for you. We don't hold loads for the simple reason that it takes up so much space.
Right, yeah.
But if there's a special make and you want a special something, I can always get it. Just because we don't have it necessarily on the website doesn't mean to say that we can't get it for you. Always, if there's something that you want, just let us know, because if you want it, there'll be somebody else that wants it as well.
And they're developing waddings all the time. You can get ecologically friendly ones. There's bamboo, which is sustainable, and they're also bringing out wadding that they've made from recycled plastic bottles.
Yeah, it's perfect.
It's got a bit of a green tinge to it, but that doesn't show on your when it's through your fabrics. So wadding is personal taste. It's what you like. You want your wadding and your backing to be at least 2 inches all the way round bigger than your quilt top.
Whilst you do that,
If you're sending it to be long arm quilting, check with your long arm quilter, but the general rule of thumb is usually 4 inches bigger all the way around, because they have to get it onto the frame, so they need that extra bit to get it on the frame before they start quilting. And a lot of long arm quilters will have backing fabric and wadding that you can purchase from them. So it's always worth making friends with your long arm quilter, because they'll baste quilts for you as well. You don't have to have them quilted with them if you've got a big quilt but you want to have a go at quilting it yourself, but it's the basting of it that you're frightened about.
Discreet.
Hook me on the neck and
dragged off by a Fiskars ruler.
So they'll baste them for you as well. So if it's the tacking and the joining the 3 layers together that you find difficult because you've got no space, or, you know, I put mine on the floor, but some of the Sarnese won't let us do that, then, you know, take it to your long arm quilter. They'll baste it for you. So then you can take it home and quilt it yourself if you want to. This is the Fiskars ruler. It's got the rotary cutter here, and you literally press down and that engages the blade. So as soon as you release pressure, the blade's safe and tucked away.
So also, if you struggle with your hands in any way, shape or form, if
because
you
can just
lie
that down.
So you can do it with the heel of your hand, can't you? So if you wanted to cut a little
If
square off there.
If I needed to cut 3 1/4, I've got it's 2 there. So 1 is against, more or less against that the silver blade, the metal part there. You can see the mark. 2, 3, and there's the 1/4. So I'd line that up there, and then, as we always do, cut away from ourselves. So you just press your hand flat on there, line it up, and there you are. There's your piece cut. So again, it takes away that fear of the ruler slipping, because by pressing down on the blade, you're holding the ruler with this hand, but by pressing down there, you're pushing your weight against the ruler. It's not going to move, and it gives you a nice straight cut every time. The blade's easily replaceable. You just unscrew that and it comes apart and you put the blade in. So it's, you know, it's it's typical Friscars, good quality, strong, nice blade.
Yeah.
Everything that you expect from Friscars, because it's, you know, they make
We
gorgeous
have-
scissors and everything else.
We have two in our house. We have one that I had from Sewing Quarter that they gave me because the edge had chipped off one of it from, I don't know, it had been thrown around the warehouse or something,
Yeah.
and I just glued it back on, and I've given that to Stephen, who now likes to trim up his pizza box thingies with it. So
yeah, it's good for paper, or you have one for, it's like I've got a rotary cutter for paper and a
Yeah.
rotary cutter
Yeah,
for
yeah.
fabric.
Sandy, the blades for the rotary cutters are just your normal, for the Friscars, is just your normal rotary cutters. Absolutely fine.
So yeah, once you've got your 3 layers together, now you can put your there's adhesives out there, so if you want to put some adhesive on it to hold it while you're spreading it out, just make sure that your backing is nice and flat. I use masking tape to hold mine down, and I mask it from the middle points of the sides rather than from the corners, because if you go from corner to corner, you're pulling it on the bias. So I mask it from the middle and mask it out from the sides. Then I lay my wadding down, and then I lay my quilt top down on the top, and I use my hands like an iron really, and I just smooth it out, and I start pinning it, and I use the curved safety pins, and I forgot to bring those in, but they've got a little curve on them, so when you place them in, you just rock them back and they pop back up, so you're not having to move the 3 layers, they'll just pin 3 together. And I always start in the middle, and I'll pin north, south, east and west, and then from there I work from the middle out, smoothing it with my hand as I go, and just smoothing it, not pulling the fabric, but just making sure that there's no sort of extra fabric that could wrinkle up as I'm doing that. Now you can use the safety pins, or you can use big tacking stitches, and again, if you're going to tack it with thread and a needle, go from the middle outwards and do it in a cross hatch, and at least a palm's width apart, they say, when you're tacking and pinning, just to hold it all 3 layers together. So what I did on this one is I looked at it. Now I could have just sewn in the ditch or just outside the ditch on these, down the panels, and then gone around the edge of the 4-patch block, and that would have been fine, that would have held it, that would be enough. As long as you've got enough to hold it together. Check on your wadding, it'll tell you the space that they recommend between rows of stitching or whatever you want to do. You could do another row just down the middle there, through the middle of the 4-patch, and you could do a straight row across there. Again, it's your quilt, you can do as much or as little to it as you want. Now I thought I would just go through just making templates and stencils for yourself. You can buy quilting stencils and things, there's lots of them out there. They're all helpful, and there's lots of lovely patterns that you can choose. But I just went for a basic cable on that one, and I'm going to show you how I made that. I did a leaf shape for here. Now, I know that these squares are about 3 inches square. They're maybe a little bit less than 3 inches. But what I did was, is I got some just straightforward paper, just copier paper, nothing fancy.
I can attest to that because you got it straight out the
Pinched it out
copier
of
and
the
went,
copier.
we've got any copier paper anyway? I was like, yeah, in the copier.
In the copier, so, funnily enough. So I just wanted to get a 3-inch square. I'm just going to take it a little bit shorter, maybe 2 7/8.
Oh, now apparently the Moody colourway, the Cafe Moody, is sold out. Nicola, would you like us to put you together? We've got 2 different colourways of the diamond stripe. Would you like, for anybody else that wants it, we could put together a different colourway, couldn't we?
Yeah,
We've got
we
that
could.
option. So if you'd like to, just pop a little comment below. Yeah, we've got, like I say, we've got 2 different colourways of the Moody on the shelf, I know. And we could do, we'd very happily, you know,
Yeah,
do
we'll
that.
do that.
It's what we do, isn't it, Jane?
It is.
Yeah.
So that is about the same size. It's a little bit bigger than the square on the 4-patch. you want to maybe make it smaller. So I'm going to fold it in half through the diagonal, and then I'm going to fold it in half again. Obviously you'll take time doing this, making sure that it's equal. And I'm going to cut just that sort of shape.
Can you show us that on a close-up, Jane? Because I don't know what sort of shape that was.
Just sort of an arch.
Down a bit.
Arch shape.
Oh, okay.
This is just to get just a simple leaf shape.
Freddie's been doing snowflakes a bit like this.
Yeah. I used to love doing those as a child, and the Hawaiian patchwork is done in a similar way. So that gives me that sort of shape. Now I'll put that on my 4 patch, and it will go there. I've probably made that just a little bit short. You'll do it by trial and error. You might feel that it's a bit wide. If you feel it's a bit wide, you can just, at this point, you're just making a template before you then transfer that onto some template plastic. So this is really just you trying it out to see. So I'm quite happy with that now. I like the width of that. You could make it wider, you could make it a lot narrower. It's entirely up to you, but that's going to be my shape for that part. For the cable, and I love how cables work, it's basically the same sort of shape, and I'm just going to show you on the paper how cables work when you're doing them in quilting. Now you can do them simply by just having this shape. Oops. You'd have it in template plastic, obviously, and you draw around it. And you'd have that shape, and then you'd line it up with the point, and you would maybe draw a line, or you'd have a seam that you could line it up with, so you know it's straight, and you would do it the same again. And then when you came to sew it, you would sew round that way and down that way, and then round the next one. That's a very simple cable.
Is it like cable knit?
Yes.
Okay.
Sort of that, I think that's where the idea came from.
Why not?
Now the cable that I've done, and I'll do it in a bigger version in a moment. I took the middle part out. Now I'll show you how to do it properly. I'm just going to do it roughly on here, but you'll just mirror the cut in the middle of there. So you end up with a hole in the middle basically. And so that's a bit straight, but you get the idea. So that would come in the middle there. So that would be your shape. Now to get that then to twist, you then line up the point with the gap. So you're lining up the point there. I wanted to show you on the paper first, because when I come to mark it on the fabric, when we actually come to do some stitching, it may not show up easily. I'll be able to see it, but it may not show for the camera. And then you do your middle part as well. So you've got this, it's overlapping here. But if I take out this line here and this line here, let me just move those other cable bits out. You can see that then I would sew round there to that point, and then I would come down and go round to there. And then on this one I'd start here, I'd go up there, sew to that point, and then I'd come down to here. The next one, again, I would line that up with that point there, come round and down, and through the middle there. And as you do this, you'll get to know, and you'll stop drawing when you get to your... So that one goes over, so I want it to come under this time. So again, I'll go that way, and I'll take this line here out. So you can see then I'll have sewn to there and I'll have stopped, and then I'll start on this one, I'll sew down there, and I'll come to there, and you can see then that gives you the twist, and that one will come, and I will sew down to there, stop there, and I'll sew back up to that point there. And then the next one, or when you do the next one, it will come down and it'll go that way until you get to the bottom. So once you got into the swing of it, you'll know which bit you're drawing round and where you stop. So you'd start drawing on that bit there and you'd come to there. And so when you did the next one, you'd know that that part there came through and that one went underneath. And so you can twist that round. And so that gives you that cabled effect. So it looks like it's twisting through. And you can also then echo that if you wanted to. So you could do a line of stitching on the outside of it.
Nice.
So it comes round like that. And you can carry on like that. It's just a very simple way. I mean, you can get stencils that are already made like this, but if I show you how I then made it for the quilt that I've made, the panel that I'm going to stitch down is about 8 inches. So I cut a piece of paper that was 8 inches, 8 inches wide, and I think I just used the width of the paper because it's pretty much the same length as the block. Again, I just folded it in half and folded it into quarters and did that sort of shape. Again, this comes with practice. The more you do it, and with it only being paper, use newspaper if you know, then it doesn't matter if you just throw it away, and because you've got the wrong shape, you'll get used to drawing the shape and you'll get a better idea of it.
Geraldine said, would freezer paper work for making these shapes?
Yeah.
I mean the thing is,
paper it's a little bit more expensive. At the moment, we're just making the pattern. I'm going to transfer this onto template plastic, and then I've got a template.
Your own made template.
That I'm going to be able to use again and again and again.
They said, can you zoom in on it, please? So could you just hold this up so that everyone can see what you've been up to, Jane? Show us your artwork.
That bit there.
Before we pop it on the fridge door.
That's it there. So now I want
down
to
a little bit. So how did and that was all drawn on. What did you draw on your bit? Just
drew it and then cut it round. Just like that. So it was 4 into 4 and then drawn round.
But can we see the actual drawing, the actual pencil?
This one of the cable.
Yeah.
I'll just cut through it, but there you go. That's pretty much what it was like. You can see how it twists.
Yeah.
So this one, because I want to be a little bit more accurate, I'm going to go from that cut edge, and I want it to be about 1 inch wide. So I'm just going to mark 1 inch mark at several points from that cut edge, just because I want to keep it the same width. I'm not just going to go gung-ho with it and think I can work out, you know, because you'll end up with one end that's a bit narrower than the other. And then just join the dots up so that it keeps it at the same distance, so it's the same width.
Okay, you're going to have to show us that close again.
Yeah, you can see that. You see I've just done dots. I measured 1 inch in from there and made a dot.
Oh,
and then joined the dots basically, just so that I know that it's 1 inch, a regular 1 inch. And then I'll just cut that through.
With your paper scissors.
With my paper scissors.
Yeah.
Not the best fabric ones.
No. Ali's always wondered how this was done. Thanks, Jane.
It's when you learn it, it's like one of those things. It's a bit like when you do the flying geese with the 1 square and 4 squares, and you're like,
yeah, I still can't do that.
That doesn't make any sense. And then suddenly it's like, oh yes. So yeah, that's how that works. So you're going to end up with a piece like that. I'm going to use the template plastic. You get 2 sheets in the pack.
I've put in a massive order for marker pens, fabric pens, all sorts of different pens. And in there was a really fine marker pen. So just bear with us. We'll get those up on the website. They were ordered yesterday, so they should be with us tomorrow.
Yeah.
So we'll load them on today in anticipation that they will arrive, hopefully.
So put your paper template underneath your template plastic. Now you might want to tape your template plastic down to your board. You'll know whether you're the sort of person that needs to have that. Now,
when you were a child, did you used to have to tape down your tracing paper, basically?
No, yeah, this is it.
And if you were...
Your template plastic's got a smooth side and a slightly rough side. Have the rough side at the top, facing upwards, because that's the side you're going to draw on, and that'll just give it a little bit, and it's less likely for you to slip. I'm using the trio marker. It's got a pencil on it, which is quite nice, and it gives a fine line. So you just trace that onto your template plastic. Taking your time to make sure that you're keeping it on top of your pattern and following the line. It doesn't matter at this point if you go off a little bit, because when you come to cut it, you'll know which line you've got to stay on. And then do the one on the inside as well. These trio markers are brilliant because they've got retractable leads in them, so they're like a propelling pencil, aren't they?
They're like the pencils you always wanted for maths when you were a kid at school.
Yeah.
And your mum wouldn't buy you because they were the more expensive pencils. And like, why can't you just use an HB like everyone else? Because I'm a stationary person.
Yes, because I need to have a different pen for every job.
Because the highlight of my school year is going stationery shopping.
Yeah. That
That's
lovely
why.
feeling of opening a new book and starting on that first page.
Oh, yeah.
In your best writing, and then by the time you finish the book, it's written any old how.
No, no. Oh, my books were immaculate. I don't know where Freddie gets it from. My books were always immaculate.
And I'm just cutting round now on that drawn line. I'm using paper scissors for the template plastic. It cuts just as easily as paper. It's a bit like stiff card, really.
Because I'm watching.
And I wouldn't use my fabric scissors on template plastic. I would definitely use paper scissors. And then to get that bit in the middle, don't fold it, but just snip into it, because you don't want a crease in your fabric, in your template, really. And then just cut through. And again, you'll just cut into that and follow that drawn line to get your I don't know what sort of shape I call it a leaf shape, I suppose. I don't know what, that's probably a proper mathematical name for this shape, but we'll call it a leaf shape.
Well, if you did two it and put them on their side, then it's kind of the infinity, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like the ATV symbol that used to come up on the, probably too young to remember that, Natasha.
On the cusp. On the cusp.
There we go. So you've got that. That's your template cut from plastic. Don't throw that away, because you might have applique shapes that you might want a small circle or a smaller leaf shape. There's always the offcuts always come in handy. I've got all sorts of little bits of template plastic all over the place. You might want to put a label on it so you know what it is. So you might want to put cable for 4-patch. You might even want to put that it's an 8-inch block, just so that you know.
Do you file them in different sizes?
I tend to keep them, in a place that they're all together and I've got them.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to take the quilt down off the wall now, and we'll crack on with. I hope I haven't bored everybody to death. So
No, do you know, it's fascinating. I've only gone quiet because I'm listening.
Yeah.
Thank goodness, is there? Jane, do more quilting, quick.
I think that's, there we go, we can get that off and slide that through. So, as I showed you on the piece of paper, we're now going to mark this on the quilt. Now you might want to, this one's slightly bigger than the one that I've used at home, but it doesn't matter because it's in the middle and it'll look like it's a design feature. You might want to mark the middle of your section that you're going to draw down, just so that you can keep it in line. You might be quite happy just to think, oh well, that's roughly the middle and I'm quite happy with that, where that is. You know the sort of person that you are and how you like to mark. Now, fabric markers, there's all sorts. You could use the blue wash away marker, you could use the brown fade marker.
And they're all coming into stock. Oh, I've gone pen mad.
Friction pens. I like friction pens. I'm not doing quilts for competition. They're not going to be shipped overseas, where they'll be in the cargo hold and go to freezing, and the pen mark will come back. So,
oh God, that was the thing, wasn't it?
Yeah. And we don't know with friction markers, it's a chemical in it that makes it disappear with heat. We don't know how that chemical reacts with fabric over time. Just putting that out there. So, you know, if you're making an heirloom quilt that you want to be passed down second, third, fourth generation, maybe don't use a friction pen.
Maybe use a chalk pen or
use
chalk
a chalk
pencil.
marker. Your trio markers work because they wash out. There's an eraser in the top. It will rub out, but it washes out just as easily. You'll have your favourite fabric marking pen. Just don't use a permanent pen or a biro. That's all I'm saying. Done that. Got it mixed up with my friction pen.
No.
It's just like, oh.
Cry.
So you're just going to mark it now around the edge of the template. You could put a little bit of the spray adhesive on the back of your template just to hold it while you're marking around it, if you don't feel that you're confident enough to hold the to hold for it to, you know, your hands might be such that you don't want to be cramping them while you're holding it down. Just stops it slipping. So we're doing the same way. I've gone around the edge and on the inside. As I say, you probably won't be able to see this on the camera where I'm marking it, but I can see it. So on this one, I'm going to go around the top of that side, but then this one I'm going to start at the bottom because I don't want it to go all the way through, but it's going to go all the way around on that side, all the way around in the middle. The first time you do this, you might find that you'll just go around all of the template and just mark it, and then decide afterwards where you want the cable, which way you want the cabling to go. So you then might just mark, because I want it to go that way, and I've got the mark there, but there's also a mark there. So you might just put a line through that mark, just because you don't want to sew through that one. Bringing it down again and lining that point up with the point in the middle, and knowing I want to go this side.
We'll show this close up in a minute.
Yeah.
Naomi says that she's found that the friction pen washes out. It's handy to know.
It does wash out, yeah.
And Amanda would like to know what wadding would you suggest for a wall hanging? Good question.
I would tend to use polyester for a wall hanging. Again, purely because it's easily washable, but also polyester's a little bit stiffer. Or wool. I mean, wool is the ultimate, you know, wool is the best of anything, and wool's got a nice hang to it because it's got a heaviness to it.
But again, we don't really stock wool on the website, but it doesn't mean to say that I can't get it. I know exactly where I can get it from. So if you want it, just let me know. Geraldine said, Jane, I thought you had to quilt before you did the binding because the quilting pulls the fabric in a bit. So is it okay to quilt after the binding then?
Once you've got your quilt stabilised, I wouldn't bind the whole quilt top and have no quilting on it.
Yeah.
I could have just done down the strips here and then bound it and then gone back to the quilting.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, the general rule is that you quilt it first, then bind it. But because I've got 90% of this quilt quilted, this isn't going anywhere.
Okay.
It's not going to make any difference to the quilt. It's stabilised and it's not going to move. So, you know, I'm quite happy to do that. And I know that there are people that will have a practice quilt, if you like, that is a quilt that they've started, and if they want to practice a design on, they then go back to it and practice on that before they do it on their big quilt.
Amazing.
So that's always a nice thing to have. It's a bit like a form of sampler.
I was just going to say that's like a sampler quilt,
Yeah.
isn't it? Or maybe if there's one, like Helen's just said that she's just got around to quilting a quilt top that she made in 2013.
Yeah.
You know, if it is that you go, actually, I've progressed so far, maybe I don't want this to be a best,
No.
you could relegate that to practice, and it would then show
Yeah.
your just so many different journeys.
That's right. And also, you know, you may have got a quilt that when you first started, you were quite happy that you just quilted around the edge of the four patch and maybe in the ditch there.
Yeah.
But now you feel a bit more confident. You think, well, actually, I might like to have a go at the leaf on that four patch
Do
I
it.
did.
Do
you
it.
can go back to that and do a bit
work
of
in.
quilt on that. The quilt is stabilised enough for you to carry on and do. And the same, you know, you may get to this stage and then you might start with your free motion and you might think, well, actually, I might do a little bit of free motion in these corners here. You can go back and do it because your quilt is stable enough
Yeah.
for you to add quilting to now.
Geraldine says, thank you, Jane. You're a fountain of knowledge. She isn't she?
It's amazing what you pick up as you go along.
But, you know,
To be fair, I've had two fabulous teachers, Chris Francis and Barbara Cheney. I mean, Barbara Cheney does hand quilting and her hand quilting is just amazing. She's competition winning, she's world class. She teaches all over the world. And her stitching is just...
did you have to go far to find her?
No, she actually just lives in the next village down from
No,
me.
what are the chances?
I know. We're so lucky in where we live that we live quite near Trentham Gardens, and they used to have a little quilt show called Quilts in the Garden, which then became Utoxeter because it was in a marquee at Trentham Gardens, and we had a really heavy snowstorm, and the marquee collapsed under the weight of the snow.
No.
And so the lady that organised Quilts in the Garden had to quickly find another venue, and she was able to find Utoxeter Racecourse, which isn't far from Trentham, so she knew that the ladies that were going would be able to travel to the same place. So that's how the Utoxeter Racecourse quilt show started, because that's what happened. And Chris Francis lived at Trentham at the time, and Barbara Cheney lives not too far away from there. They've been friends for years and been teaching, and we went to this quilt show and they were talking, you know, they'd just got a stand showing what they did and advertising their workshops. And we went, and that was it, we were hooked. We became groupies. It was just like we did every workshop that they ever put on.
Yeah, but that's it, isn't it? Oh, Ali says that means you live near me, Jane, give or take, 20 miles. Wow.
Yeah. I think there's a few people that, when I'm helping Inga with the packing, I see addresses and I think, oh, that's not far from me.
Ali's near Leek
Yeah.
and Winkle,
Yeah.
which, two of the best bits of addresses ever, I think.
Leek's beautiful.
Leek's really lovely. And
It's
they
a
have a
gorgeous
really
place.
nice market as well.
Yeah, they do. They do. And they've got a lovely...
We've had a few rugs from there.
Victorian, I don't know what it is, but it's like a Victorian, it's an arcade now, but it was some sort of factory at the time, and it's got all wrought iron work and stuff. And they've got like cooperative crafters that do, and there's a cafe there and everything, which obviously at the moment
Well, obviously,
isn't there.
yeah.
But
They've got quite a nice little... There's a sort of, I kind of want to say there's like a little square.
It's a lovely...
It's like an oblongy square,
Yeah,
if you know.
it
More of a
is.
rectangle
Yeah.
than a square.
And then-
you know what I mean?
And then a pedestrianised high street, and they have a market down there, and we go quite often at Christmas, and it's we had done previous years, and it's lovely because you can get, as I say, there's like this cooperative type handcraft people that all sorts of paintings, pottery, all sorts of things.
Yeah, we've had some nice. Oh, there you go. Karen Hughes says, "Oh, I loved Utoxeter Quilt Show. Do miss the shows. They will happen again.
They will. They'll all come back eventually. So
do you want to show that close up, Jane?
Try showing it close up. I don't even know that it'll come. I don't know if we can see it, but you can see.
If you sort of run your finger along where it was.
That's the template, and you can see. I don't know if you can see it. There's the line that I've stitched there. I've drawn rather, not stitched yet, and I've gone over that one I know.
Oh, hang on. It helps if I actually put you on the close-up. So, sorry,
you can
sorry,
just
everyone.
about see. You can just about see it.
Can you show again? Sorry.
So that's the template over. I've drawn around it, and then you'll see on this one I've gone round that way, so that it looks like that line goes underneath.
Nice,
And
clever,
what I'll do is
clever.
I'll stitch it with this lighter thread on, and then that maybe, hopefully, will show up slightly better.
Fab. Oh,
So,
Ali says that would be the
walking
butter market.
Yes, that's it. I knew it was something.
Yeah,
and there's
she
a
said.
gorgeous handmade chocolates down there as well. Is that the right one?
Yeah. That's the brand new one because I broke the other one. And would you like to show everyone my hammer? Yeah, that would be the butter market. Sadly, the council are trying to make stalls in the trestle hall as permanent fixtures, much to everyone's disdain. What a council knows about stuff. They just want to take the joy and fun out of everything, don't they?
They do. They just
Rant over.
They have ideas, don't they? And sometimes they don't.
How dare they, Jane? How dare they have ideas?
Big grand ideas about things, and they don't actually listen to the people that
Go
or
and
want
support it.
No. There's Natasha's little stumpy hammer.
It is
Lovely.
a great stumpy hammer.
It's gorgeous. It's got a good weight to it. It's nicely balanced, as they say.
Yeah, yes, see.
So this is a walking foot.
Oh, do you want to show it close? There you go.
It's got an arm here. Now, some people's walking foot will have an arm there, or it'll just be a straight line. That goes over the nut that holds the needle in at the side here. We're not quite in the right angle to show that.
Hang on. I can do this. Bear with, caller. Bear with. Do you want to... Oh, hello. Set everything off. There you go.
That's it. So there's the nut there
Seamless.
that you hold your needle in with. That arm sits either that bit there through either side of that nut, or sometimes if it's just a straight arm, it sits on top of the nut that holds the needle in. It's called a walking foot because it literally does that. It walks across the top of the fabric. The motion of the needle going up and down, I don't know if you can see, there's two parts to the foot and it makes it go up and down. The top bit's got little teeth in it, the bottom bit is smooth. So the little teeth then sort of grab the fabric and walk it across, but don't push it like your ordinary presser foot does. So is this just a link that just pulls? No, that's just that bit. Does it come undone by unscrewing it, Natasha?
Which bit?
The whole bit of this foot needs to come off.
Oh, yeah. So that's in your little front drawer bit.
Is it the...
Yeah. Perfect.
Oh, yeah, I can see it's a little screw. Some machines have a little lever and the whole thing comes off, so you want to take the whole foot off.
It's the whole ankle and everything, isn't it?
The foot holder, I think it's called, or something, but it's that part that sits on the shank. That all needs to come off, so that you're just left with your shank with the screw in. So you go at a sort of 45-ish degree angle. It takes a bit of practice. You want to get that arm through the nut there, and then you want to get the anchor bit there through the bolt that holds it onto the shank. That's it. So it's gone either side of the needle nut there, and it's gone through the shank nut there. So we just tighten that up.
See, this is the bit you don't normally get to see, isn't it? You know.
This is it, and I think a lot of patterns and magazines that you get, they'll just say quilters desired, and you're like, if you're a beginner, you're like, oh, what does that mean? How? What do I do?
Yeah.
You know. So I always try and put a little bit of what I've done with the quilting, just to give you a little sort of hint. If you're an experienced quilter, you'll probably want to, what you want to do, or you might have a stencil you want to try, or anything like that. But for beginners, it's nice sometimes to know what the person that's designed the quilt has done.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
you can copy that,
Absolutely.
or have a go yourself.
We all have to start, don't we?
We all start somewhere. I've put the needle position back into the middle, and I'm making my stitch length. I go for 3.5 on this machine, 3.4 on this machine, 3.5 on mine at home. I want a big stitch because it's decorative as well as functional, but I don't want it too big.
Okay.
Obviously, I don't want to pull it. You know, Barbara calls them toe catchers. You don't want them too big that catch your toe in it and it pulls out.
I like that.
That's
I like
lovely.
that a lot. Gemma says, wait, the front drawer bit of the machine is for sewing feet, not minstrels and M&Ms.
M&Ms.
It's a shocker. It's a shocker.
Lovely.
But yeah, Jem, apparently, unless, of course, you know, you have a dedicated little bag for all your feet, and then it can be a secret snack stash.
Now, if you're going to start sewing, now you can get quilter's clips, so you can roll your quilt up, and you can get clips, and they look a little bit like bicycle clips, and they hold it together.
Do you want me to get some?
I don't bother.
Okay, won't bother then. Good. Right.
I start off.
You can get them just from somewhere else, because Jane don't bother.
You know, we've got them here, haven't we, that hold the quilt and everything. So, but I start off all neat and tidy with it all quilted, it all rolled and together. But by the time I've got to the end, I'm just like pushing it through and pulling it. And it's any old how. Generally speaking, you want to quilt in all the same direction. But I'm going to break that rule now because initially I want to start there and I want to go up and then come down. But what I will do is I'll be starting from the same direction each time. So just do that initial beginning. So I'm just
Do you want me to move all the stuff out from behind the sewing machine?
I think we could just make a bit. Will it be
Give
easier
it
to
a
see?
shush.
Oh,
There, I mean, there you go.
we
There
didn't
go your
want to do that. That's
quilting
my
clip.
fault for putting the hammer.
Oh,
in
you
there.
put the hammer in there, didn't you?
Yeah, weighted it down.
It's a good weighty hammer, that one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got a good weight to
Alison
it.
says, please thank Jane. This is a great show and I'm learning so much. Natasha, thank you for providing a show that has the space and time for designers to show a whole process. It's fabulous. Alison, it's my absolute pleasure. I learned too, which is great.
So initially, and when you're quilting, you want to get yourself comfortable. You're going to be sitting here for a while doing this. I don't recommend you stand up to do it. You want to be in a nice comfortable position. You want to be slightly looking down on your quilt. So if you've got an adjustable height on your chair,
I have.
you can use an adjustable chair. You might even want to just tilt your machine forward, maybe put a book underneath it so
Yeah.
it's just tilted forward slightly.
Or one of those door wedges.
Yeah, something, just sometimes that works for people. Just try it and see whether it makes
Yeah.
any difference. Just make sure that you're sitting centrally. And I used to say to my ladies, make sure your boobs, the middle of your boobs is in the middle of your needle. So like that's where you are position-wise.
Oh, okay, right. Boob and needle, right.
Yeah, so that it's sort of like your cleavage is level with your needle.
Amazing.
And that makes sure that you're central then. Try and keep relaxed around your shoulders.
Yeah, every now and then
Because
just give them a little...
You tend to get hunched up as you're going through, and by the time you've done a row, you're like frozen here. And you're like, oh my God, I can't move. The other thing is, remember that you can stop. You know,
What?
you don't have to keep going. You're allowed to stop. And I do recommend that when you're doing a whole quilt, that you do a little section, stop, relax, roll your shoulders back.
Have an M&M.
Just roll your neck, twist your neck to the side, rotate it round, because you'll get tightness in your neck here.
Yeah.
And over time, you'll really suffer if you do it a lot. And the other thing is, remember to breathe. Because you
sounds
hold
crazy,
your breath.
doesn't it?
You
Yeah.
hold your breath. So it's important to remember to breathe, because we don't really want to pass out while you're quilting. It's
Do you
not
know, Jen,
recommended.
When I trained for the Olympics and I had to learn to show jump, and I'd only ever been a happy hacker, and I had 2 horses. My mum and dad bought me, first time in my life that they'd bought me a horse. I'd always bought my own horses growing up, and they bought me this sports horse, Shadow Dance, and she was just phenomenal. So I had Oscar, he was half cart horse, half goodness knows what, and so that was like jumping a
plodding,
tractor.
yeah.
You know, slow and steady wins the race there. or crashes through it, and again had to reach for the hammer to actually put the jumps back together before the next person could go. And then I had shadow dance, and she used to go at such a rate of knots. I'd come out panting. I'm thinking, what? I hadn't breathed. I'd do an entire show jumping around and not breathe, holding my breath, because I was just like, if I can get through this, if I can get through this.
Yeah.
But she was like the Ferrari. And between the two, when I was then given a horse for competitions and stuff, because they'd generally be army horses, because they had to jump a 4-foot course.
Yeah.
And you'd get 20 minutes and 4 practice fences before you had to take this horse around a 1 metre 24-foot track.
Wow.
It's terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. Anyway, so yeah, breathing, it's good.
So I'm
Who knew?
starting at the point where the leaf shape comes together in the middle. So I'm going to follow that line there to that point. I'm going to go round. I'm going to sew around to the next point. I just, with the hand crank at the side, I've just made sure that my needle's in the position that I want to start. And then I'll lower the walking foot. Just remember that you do need to lower your walking foot, because it sits on top of the fabric and you're sewing through 3 layers. Sometimes it looks like the foot's already lowered, and you'll start stitching and it won't do anything, and you're like, what have I done? Why isn't it working? It's just possibly...
Or it just beeps at you for no reason. You're like, what's going on? But there is a reason.
Quite often because you haven't lowered your walking foot.
Geraldine would like to know what happens if your boobs go left and the other goes right and never meet.
It's just that
Get a
gap in
push-up
the-
bra,
it's just that
Geraldine,
gap in
then
the
they'll
middle.
soon meet.
It's body position really, rather than anything else.
What is it they call them? What's the is it the cowboy one, the upper Natten bra? Get one of those. You'll soon find the middle bit.
You'll want quite a length on your thread to start, a good sort of 2-3 inches really, because you're going to have to tie that in and sew it in once you've finished, and I'll go through that bit as well. Have your machine on a fairly slow speed. Your walking foot doesn't like going fast. You'll break it over time if you try and sew on full speed with it. It'll do it, but it won't last very long. It does like to walk slow and steady, a nice steady pace. Try and keep on the marked line, gently rotating. Walking feet are good for gentle curves and straight lines. You can't do free motion with a walking foot, it won't do it. But you're just taking a few stitches and adjusting it, going round the line. Don't worry if you miss the line occasionally, because you're going to remove that marker.
Yes, no one's going to see.
So no one's going to see if your line's a little bit inside or outside or a bit wobbly. It's not going to matter.
I mean, talking of wobbly, Geraldine says that she said, I'll put my big pants on to hold them up. I mean, sometimes it's more like scaffolding, isn't it? Let's be honest.
So we're just following that line round, and you're just easing. And it's great on a table like this because the table can hold the weight of the quilt. When you're quilting and you're sitting, when you sit down, sometimes the quilt will be on your knee and it'll fold itself under the table, and you'll be quilting and it'll start to pull it. So just try and make sure when you're quilting you've got as much of your quilt on the table as you can, and try and just keep adjusting it as you're sewing so that the weight is distributed on your table. What I find at home is I'll put the ironing board next to the table, so that I can drape the quilt over the ironing board as well to take some of the weight. Just because the less weight you've got dragging your quilt down, the more even your stitches will be. And as I say, you're just sort of feeding it through and pushing it. You're not pushing it, but you let the walking foot do the movement of the fabric, and you're just easing it with your fingers. And really, you don't have to worry about what's going on here and here. All you need to concentrate on is this bit here. So you're using your hands sort of to smooth it, not pull it, but smooth it flat so you can see this area here. And the other thing to say is try and look at where you're quilting, not at where you are. So look at where you're going, not where the needle is, because that helps you sort of keep it smooth as well. And somebody once said to me, well, when you're driving, you don't look at the front of the bonnet, you look at the road in front. And it's a bit like that with quilting. You look at where you're going rather than where you are at the moment.
That's very true. That is very true. Oh, that's it, Margaret. It was you. She said bras. You mean rawhide bras. Head them up and move them out.
Well, that's it.
Rawhide, as opposed to the Harvest Festival bras where all is safely gathered in. You lot, you are naughty. You do make me laugh.
This is good.
Alison says just throw them over your shoulders.
Yeah. And talking of throwing things over your shoulders, not that if you've got a big quilt, you can pop it over your shoulder here to take some of the weight as well. So I'm getting now to the point where the next line goes across. So I'm going to stop there. I'm just going to, you can do, if you've got the stop stitch on your, the stay stitch on your machine, you can do a few stitches on the spot. Take your needle out, lift your foot out and just pull your quilt towards you and pull that thread. I've done with the little scissors. Put them safely somewhere else. I'll use a big pair. And just cut yourself a length of thread, again about 3 inches. You've got the paper scissors. And go underneath your quilt as well and get the bobbing thread and do the same thing. You can usually do this by feel. Sometimes you have to eke it slightly. That's it, and you can feel it. And sometimes you can just snap your thread, or you can take your scissors and
snip them.
Snip them. But you want a good length of thread.
Lorraine says, would you recommend quilting gloves?
Yes, quilting gloves can help, particularly if you suffer with, some people suffer with sweaty hands, don't they, particularly if they're nervous.
Yeah.
And so the quilting gloves will stop you getting sweat and things on your quilt, and they'll also help with the grip. Just plain white cotton gloves work as well for some people. You'll find what works best for you. There's lots of different things out there that help, and I know that some people will swear by their quilting gloves. I've got quite hot hands, so my hands sort of keep a grip to my fabric anyway, so it works.
Caroline, thank you. She sent us some stars.
Oh, that's nice. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Right, Stephanie says, well, great demo. Definitely going to try this way of quilting. Give it a go. Give it a go.
Even if you just want to give it a try, just get some calico and some wadding and make yourself a quilt sandwich.
It's that thing,
have
isn't
a little
it?
bit of a practice. When I'm doing free motion quilting, I will always have a scrap of wadding and the fabric I'm using, just a little square, and just have a go with the free motion pattern that I want to use on that square. Yeah. Before I then start actually, I never go cold. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Even I've been doing it a while now, but I never go cold straight to the quilt. I always do a little practice piece first. If I'm doing a free motion design, I've usually drawn it out on pencil and paper just to get that muscle memory in my mind.
Yeah. Well, do you remember Angie Atwood, when she was here? She said that she uses a wash-away thread on the bottom.
Yes.
So she's got a block, like a 12-inch block, that's all bound and everything else. She'll practice on that and then throw it through the wash in it.
Yeah.
Which I thought was genius.
That's a clever idea.
Oh, hi Fiona. Hi Anita.
So you can see, you've got quite a bit of a bulk here, but it goes through quite quickly. This is just an ordinary size. We haven't got, the other Dukey's got a lovely deeper throat on it. This is just like an ordinary domestic machine that anybody's got really at home. It's got a few extra features on it, but this is a lovely machine, and the throat's not big, but we're still managing okay to do this size quilt. And you could do a wider quilt than this. It
would be really easy for us to bring out the beast, wouldn't it? And go, it's so simple, you just do it like this. But I don't think that's a fair representation.
No,
of
it
the
doesn't
machine
help
that most
people that,
have. Yeah.
People have got, the standard size machine. You don't need fancy stitches. You need a straight stitch. That's all you need when you're quilting. So, your basic model of machine is all that you need, really. And again, I'm just taking that. I've come to the place where I've stopped and taking it out. I'm fertling underneath.
Fertile. That's a good word, isn't it? Fertile.
The bobbin thread, and I snap that through. And then I'm going to go, and I'm starting here now, because this is where the next line comes through and then goes across. So again, we're just going to line that up, looking at where the line is, the needle down, making sure I've got quite a good thread, drop the foot, and then we go again.
Naomi thought you were going to throw your boobs over your shoulder then. I mean, it's all going on this
I haven't
morning.
got enough boobage to throw over my
Well,
shoulders.
you know, Karen says that we're all bragging. She hasn't worn a bra since she left school. I mean, do you know what? Sometimes that's an absolute
Yeah.
blessing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Julie says, do you mean bragging or should that be sagging?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Do you know, sometimes I just, I love how this group has, I was going to say grown and matured, but I'm not sure that it's mature
think,
today.
You know, we're comfortable with each other, aren't we? And it just makes nice, brightens the day slightly.
Tell you what, you won't get this chat on Ochanda. I'd be sacked
Taken off
immediately.
air, probably.
Yeah, I would. I'd be marched out the building and told never to come back.
So I've gone down there and round. I'm coming back in now and I'm finding the line that I've drawn here and I'm starting again.
Cool.
I wouldn't go from there and go back up. I'm starting from the same direction each time and going down.
Oh, Fiona says, I've been watching so closely, I haven't commented so far, but Jane, this is the demo I've been waiting for. Thanks
I think
for
it might have been
explaining what.
Naomi that had said, you know, can we have a show that...
She says, thanks for explaining what so many patterns assume is known. Once again, you've made me feel I can do more than I think I can. I think we all can.
We can all do it. You know, it's a little bit daunting the very first time. Just take your time. Just keep it simple, you know. Just go around the edge. Just do one, you know, just do the one cable if you want to have a go at cabling. Don't, you know, try and work out that. Just practice. And I think this is the biggest thing with quilting, and it's like your patchwork to a certain degree. You get better the more you do it. Chris and Barbara both recommend, particularly with free motion quilting, is that you do 5 minutes every day rather than half an hour once a month. You're going to improve if you do it little and often.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is where making yourself what they call a scribble cloth, just a couple of pieces of calico sandwiched between wadding, sandwiched between a couple of pieces, and you just have a go. Just keep doing the same thing. It's getting into the habit and finding what works for you. And you know, you don't have to enjoy it if you don't like it. You don't have
to enjoy it. We're not going to make you enjoy
you know,
it.
If you have a go, you decide, actually, no, this isn't for me. I'm going to carry on taking it to my long arm quilter. That's what long arm quilters are there for.
Well, do you know what?
There are people that enjoy the process of patchwork but don't like the quilting, and that's fine. Nobody says you have to be able to do it all.
That's so true, isn't it? Just give yourself a break, for goodness sakes.
You know, they talk about the quilting police. There aren't any quilting police, really.
Only in your head.
We're our own worst critics. I tend to find, and I've yet to find a group that isn't like this, that most groups of ladies that do patchwork and quilting are very supportive. They're happy to pass on their knowledge and support you in your beginning in enjoyment of patchwork and quilting. And if they do criticise you, just take no notice. You know,
what I've found
unless
in life,
they're multi-award-winning quilters, nobody's perfect, and we all find our love of it in different ways.
Those that feel the need to criticise generally have the biggest hang-ups themselves. I think, you know, those that are quite happy in their skin and in their knowledge base are happy to pass on.
Yes.
And that's the same with everyone, isn't it?
I think that's true. And Chris Francis and Barbara Cheney, you couldn't find two more generous people for sharing their knowledge and their time when it comes to patchwork and quilting. Barbara collects vintage quilts, and she'll quite often, when you go to one of her classes, because she specialises in hand piecing and hand quilting, she will bring a vintage piece of quilting that she's collected, and it's just, and she'll let you sort of pick it apart. She'll say, look at the stitching on this, it's not even. the points don't match. They've lost the points on that bit there. When these quilts were being made, they were being made because they needed them.
Yeah.
They needed them to keep warm.
Yeah.
They were using any bit of fabric they could find. They didn't care if the colours weren't the same, or if they got halfway through and they ran out of fabric. They just found another piece of fabric that was similar and they used it because they needed the quilt. They needed that quilt to keep themselves warm. It wasn't about design and having the best fabric or whether the quilting was perfect. It was purely just to keep them warm in the night. So yeah, it's such a lovely thing to see a quilt that's 100 years old. And I look at it and I'm just like, oh God, I want to know who
The
made
history.
this.
Yeah,
I want to know what
yeah.
they were doing, why they were doing it, what it was made for.
What they were going through whilst
Yeah.
they were quilting it, because like it or not, like smells are evocative. The things that you make, you remember what you were thinking about when you were making them, where you were in life, what you were doing.
Yeah.
They bring those things.
Pieces of music are the same, aren't they?
Yeah.
You'll listen to a tune and you'll think, oh gosh, I was at school doing whatever at that time. Barbara's bought quilts in before now and they've been slightly threadbare, but she said it's really interesting because when you look at this quilt you can see there's another quilt underneath it.
What?
And what they've done is they've used an old quilt that's gone threadbare, they've used that for the wadding.
Oh.
So they've just made another quilt top and
Stuck over the top.
sandwiched it in an old quilt.
Amazing.
And she's got one quilt that's actually 3 quilts. A quilt inside a quilt inside a quilt.
Gosh, that must be lovely and warm.
Yeah.
But you're right, that's, we forget the original purpose, don't
Yeah.
we?
And that was purely because that's what they needed. And she'll tell you that they used to go through the fields and pick up the lamb's fleece, the sheep's fleece off the hedges
Yeah.
to make wadding, to put into quilts. You couldn't go and buy batting.
No?
It wasn't easily got hold of.
Oh, Ali says, such a brilliant demo, Jane, and all for free. We're so privileged. Thank you. I've learnt so much.
You're very welcome.
Does Barbara know what you do now?
Yes.
She does.
Yeah. I was still in touch with her and, it wasn't that long ago that we were doing a Zoom class with her at my mum's.
Oh.
Just doing a thing. She lives she's got a house in Spain as well. And of course she's stuck. I use that word loosely. She's stuck over in Spain at the moment. I think she's quite happy there.
Yeah, don't blame her.
She's got a lovely home in Spain as well. And I keep in touch with Chris as well, because Chris has helped me so much with, when I had the shop, she would come and do classes, well Barbara did as well, and helping me with teaching, and helping me with my design work as well. Both of them have been hugely supportive. It's so lovely to class them as friends, because when I first went to their class, I was very much in awe. They're published quilters. They've got books and things, and as I say, Barbara is an award-winning national teacher, worldwide teacher.
But you know what? I would imagine you were probably the model student.
Well, I was a little bit geeky, I suppose. I was just like,
which is all any teacher wants. Is a good bit of geek and a bit of enthusiasm. That's all anyone wants.
I think it's when you find something, don't you, that you think, oh my God, I love this. And I picked up straight away on the design side of things. And I was always saying, well, if I turn this way, and Chris is a designer and she's had patterns published in magazines and things like that. And as I say, she's got her own books and things that she's done in collaboration with Barbara and on her own. And she would say, yeah, do that. Yeah, try that and change that round and see what happens. And
sometimes you just need someone to say it's okay to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, of course it is. It's always okay to try it, but just to have
fine.
someone there to go, yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. Ali wants to know, was the Zoom class in your mum's bathroom with your design wall?
No, in the lounge. But we set up, it was lovely because we did it in the lounge and we got the ironing board. We got an ironing board each and we were sitting at the table sewing with the class, and it was a really nice thing to do.
Julia's got calico at the ready. Must have a go. Never quilted before. Then a dog's bed for more practice after watching this again. Excellent demo. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, if you want to quilt a dog bed, you want to maybe watch next week.
Yeah, are you making dog beds? Looking at that
Oh,
lovely
you know,
fabric?
you never know what's coming up next
Yeah.
week. It's been cold, Jane. What can I
Yeah.
say? Dogs need treats.
They do. We're nearly done. We've got nearly just a little bit more to do.
I'm just worried people can hear my stomach rumbling. I'm so
Yes,
sorry
I'm the
if you can. That's not a you must rush, Jane.
No.
You know that. It's just if
Well,
people are hearing noises
nearly-
off.
It's nearly tea time for you, never mind lunchtime. Been up so long.
Oh.
Yeah, so I think we're on the final stretch now. We've just got to this last point here.
Ali found it, sent it. Happy birthday. Is my message to you.
Oh, lovely, yeah. So we go to the next one now, and this is the last one. We're coming down here, and then we're going to go back up and finish off that bit there, and then the next line will finish it completely.
Cool.
So yeah, it's not a hard design to do. It's just getting into the rhythm of it, and knowing that when you twist it round where it goes, and being able to see the line that you've drawn.
Yeah, that's going to help, isn't it? So watch out for the pens that are coming onto the website in the next day or so. Gemma, I know that you'll be watching. She's avidly glued, I know she will be. Could you just, I don't know if you already have tagged any of the backing fabrics, because I suddenly realised, I know we've got some Amy Butler backing fabrics left, but we might have some of the Anna Maria Horner ones left as well.
And you've got those lovely planes as well, haven't you, that are wider?
Yes, yes, yes.
So I've got to the point there, I'll stop there, and then I'm going to turn it round and I'm going to go back, just go back up, and I will go, I'll just find yeah, it comes round to there. Oh, I need to go a little bit further. I can see that, oop. This is what happens with me when I'm quilting at home. I end up knocking everything off the table, just sweeping the quilt round.
Is that why we haven't got HP in here with us today?
They
just sweep her off the table.
Cat flying off the table. That wouldn't go down very well, would it?
The first time I ever tried to quilt with fleece underneath, I just had HP sat on the side of it, and I was trying to wrangle this fabric through the machine with half pint on one side
on top of it,
just moving along the desk.
I've had a big quilt before now, and I've got to a point I'm thinking, why when I can't, and look down and the dog's asleep on it underneath. It's just like, Daisy, get off. So let's finish that bit off there, break the thread, and then we come down for that final piece there. So I'll just...
Elizabeth says it just goes to show how much lint there is with quilting. I can see it on the brand new walking foot. I feel less bad.
Yeah.
That, you know, in just one show we've got that much on there. Jane did clean the machine.
I cleaned the machine
today.
before we came out, and I can guarantee you that if I opened this machine up, and let's face it, I've only done a few bits of piecing and one load of quilting on one row, there will be quite a significant amount of lint inside the machine. This is why I do try and get into the habit of doing mine after each project.
Oh, you're good.
I don't always remember, but I do try.
Also shows how good our cameras are as well.
Yeah.
That's the other thing, you know. If you're not watching an HD, then you probably wouldn't have seen it.
Yeah, it's a good quality picture. So I've come down to there, and then I can go back up and just finish that little bit off. And then I'll just show you about tying in the ends.
You see, that's another thing, isn't it? That's what people always talk, oh, have you tied in your ends? Like, what? What do you mean if I tied in the ends? I did a triple stitch and then cut the threads. Was I not meant to do that?
Yeah.
No.
What I'm going to do with this last one is I'm going to show you, because this machine's got a thread cutter. You can do this, and I do it on projects when I know that, you know, when it's for here, it doesn't matter.
Oh,
I say it doesn't matter, that's not true, but nobody's going to be looking at the back. So I'm doing a stay stitch there, and then I click on the thread cutter. That will take the threads back and behind the machine, but I'm going to show you now what you end up with. We can go close up, Natasha.
We are as close as we can get.
You're going to get that. There's like a knot there, and then you get threads at the back, which you can snip off. You can snip those as close as you feel to the knot, and that's fine. That doesn't matter. So for tying the ends in, I'll just get a needle, find one. There's loads on here. You want one with a fairly big eye, but you don't want it too thick. You wouldn't want one like that, really. That's a bit too thick.
Oh, hang on. Whoa. Let me find it. Switch, camera. Which one, Jet? Oh, wait, I've got your arm again.
Sorry.
Which one was?
That one. That's like almost like a yarn darner. That's a bit too big. But if you can find one, just trying to get hold of that. I use embroidery number 9 needles at home when I'm doing mine. I use those for my. That's too small. I've got one here somewhere. I know.
Oh, it's like Goldilocks trying to find a needle, isn't it? Too big, too small.
That's quite a good one. I would tend to use a shorter one, but that's about the right size, and that's about the right size of the eye as well.
Okay.
Nice big one. So what I do is I go to the back of the quilt and I find the thread that I pulled from the bobbin. That's the bobbin thread, and I just give it a little tug, and it will bring the loop of the top thread through, and I pull that through, and then I tie it, and I literally am tying it. I go through under and over once, and then I do it again, keeping it as close to the fabric as I can, and then I will put those 2 threads onto the needle, and that's why you want a fairly big eye, because you're putting 2 threads through it. And then I will take the needle through, and this is why I don't have too long a needle. Take it into the back of the fabric, and I'm just going into the back of the fabric, maybe a little bit into the wadding, that doesn't matter, but obviously not through to the other side. Take it along the back of the thread, the fabric, and just pull it and give it a bit of a tug, and then just snip it as close to the fabric as I feel comfortable, and then that will pop back in, and then that thread's disappeared then, and it just goes straight back into the back of your quilt. And you just do that with all of your threads. So you can choose, if you've got the opportunity of a stay stitch and the thread cutter, you can decide whether you want to have that little knobble of thread there with the ends, which you can trim right down, but you'll still have the little nodule of thread there, or whether you want to tie them and bury them in the back of your quilt. And that's what you do. That's it.
Perfect.
So if I show you the front of that now, you can see.
Oh, hang on.
I don't know if you can see that cable design.
Yeah, you can. Look at that.
So there we go. That's your cable.
Beautiful.
And I just thought that cable design lent itself nicely to the strippy quilt.
Oh no, it's gorgeous, Jane. You clever thing. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
So my question is, I don't know if anybody answered it in the end. Did you want another colourway for the diamond stripe? That's it on the Moody colourway. That's all we've got on that. But we do have 2 other colourways.
Yeah, we've got a nice pinky one, haven't we? And
yeah, I don't know how much of that we've got, but then we've got
bolt, yeah.
another one. So we'll have a little look. We'll pop a serving suggestion up for you. So look out on Facebook, because I'll post it on there for you with the link. But if that one's sold out, I don't want anyone disappointed, and we'll find you another gorgeous combo
collection,
because it would be rude not to. And yeah, we don't have a show tomorrow, but Friday is the start of...
You've got your designer takeover.
We do have designer takeover day, which is Mr. John Cole Morgan, the man, the myth, legend. He will be here, bringing us some of his fabulous quilt designs. We're going big and small. So we're doing mega size and mini size.
How lovely.
And
so I've seen the fabric and it's gorgeous.
It is gorgeous. And he's going to tackle some foundation paper piecing, because you were all asking for that. We're going to have a chin wag.
Oh, you'll have a lovely time.
I'm not going to lie. That's going to happen.
That's going to be nice.
So yeah. Watch this space for that.
Exciting times.
It's going to be very lovely. Jane, thank you so much. What quilt have we got next week?
It's block of the month next week.
Of course it is.
We're on block 6. I haven't forgotten block 4, just still waiting for the fabric to chug its way across the ocean.
Nightmare.
It's just a bit of a nightmare at the moment. So yeah, we're on block 6. It's a Harlequin block, which is quite nice. There's quite a bit of pieces on that one. It's, you know, I've saved some might say the worst till last. I'm saying the best till last.
Of course, always the best.
Yeah. So yeah, we're going to be working on block 6. We're going to get those put together and sent out to you by the end of this week. So yeah, you should have them ready for next week.
Woohoo! Woohoo! Thank you. Just what an amazing show. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Pleasure.
Yes, thank you ever so much for, as ever, your company, your banter. And yeah, we will see you on Friday. Hooray!
Yes,
Give us a wave, Jane.
Goodbye.
Bye, 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 bye.